The first morning, 6 million years ago, Aurorintuganensis, you wake up in the shadow of ancient trees, high in a nest of branches, leaves, and carefully placed twigs. The morning mist hangs like a thin veil above the Tugan hills of what is now Kenya. The first light of the sun filters through the canopy, casting patches of gold across your fur. You open your eyes slowly, blinking against the gentle light, and listen. The forest is already awake. Birds call to each other. Branches crack in the distance. Insects buzz just above you. The world is quiet and alive at the same time. It is 6 million years ago, and you are one of the first to begin the journey that will one day lead to humanity. Your name is Ororin, original man in the Tugan language that your distant descendants will construct millions of years from now. But you do not know those words. Language, as humans will come to know it, does not yet exist. What you have are sharp senses, deeply rooted instincts, and a body that is about to do something revolutionary. Stand up. Your nest, carefully built the night before, rests about 5 meters above the ground. You grip a branch and slowly pull yourself upright. Your muscles are still stiff from sleep, but your limbs are used to this motion. Your fingers are long and slightly curved, built for grasping branches, for climbing, for surviving among leaves and shadows. But you also feel something different, something that sets you apart from other primates in this forest. Your feet, with a big toe no longer fully splayed to the side, easily find purchase. Your legs straighten in a way that is rare among your peers. You're not a perfect biped, but you have begun, and that is enough to change everything. Carefully you descend. The bark is rough beneath your fingers, damp with dew. On the ground you pause, alert. The scent of damp earth, leaves, and rotting fruit fills your nostrils. You hear nothing to suggest danger. No rustle of a cat, no bird alarm calls. You straighten your back. For a moment you stand fully upright. It doesn't feel unnatural. Your legs are shorter than those of the humans who will one day descend from you, but they are strong. Your thigh bone, what will later be known as the femur, has a specific shape. Its neck is long and the head angles forward. This helps you maintain balance. Scientists millions of years in the future will marvel at this. You simply notice that walking on 2 legs gives you a better view of your surroundings. The world you live in is beautiful and dangerous. The forest is a patchwork of vegetation, dense woodlands broken by clearings and reed beds. Rivers meander like veins through the landscape. You can smell fruit not far from here, so you take your first steps of the day, not like a modern human, not with the confidence of a developed foot arch or streamlined hip, but with cautious strength. You walk. Each step is a victory over millions of years of evolutionary habit. Your gait is swaying, your feet turn slightly outward. When you need to move quickly, you instinctively drop to all fours. But now you take your time. Above the shrubs you can see further. You spot a fig tree. Its branches hang low, and the scent of ripe fruit makes your mouth wet. You climb. Not hastily, but purposefully. You grasp with hands and feet together, like the other apes around you, but your movements are subtly different. Your fingers curl around the bark, your feet press against knotted wood. In the tree you pluck a fruit. The skin is soft and the inside sweet. You eat slowly. Your eyes remain vigilant even as you enjoy. You know you are never entirely safe. A sound, low and nearly inaudible. A leopard? You freeze. On a branch nearby, a bird sits still. Then the call of a monkey in the distance. Alarm. You climb quickly back down and run on 2 legs to the nearest tree. In danger, you're fast. Not like your descendants will be, but fast enough. You run and climb again, high among the leaves, safe. The morning progresses. The sunlight grows warmer, the shadows shorter. You descend again, this time with others from your group. Around 20 individuals, females, males, juveniles. You're not alone. Your species is social. You share food, warn each other of danger, groom each other. No language, no words, but plenty of communication. Gestures, sounds, postures. You travel with the group through the forest. You search for edible roots along a stream. You use a stick to poke into the mud, not because you understand tools, but because it works. The stick breaks. You pick another. To you, this is not ingenuity, just behavior. Still, scientists will later say that in this moment, the seed of technology is sown. By midday, it is warm. You rest under a broad tree. Others in your group do the same. Some groom each other, picking out parasites. These actions are not just hygienic, but social. You feel safe in this closeness. A young one climbs over you and nestles beside you. You allow it. The day moves slowly, like the rhythm of nature itself. Eating, resting, moving, watching. Your head is smaller than that of Homo sapiens, but larger than that of a common chimpanzee. Your brain processes patterns, faces, dangers. You learn by watching. Toward the end of the afternoon, you hear water, a stream, shallow and clear. You bend forward and drink, hand by hand. Your feet remain on the ground, your eyes scan the surroundings. Something moves in the water. A crocodile. You retreat. The group moves away from the bank in silence. Just before sunset, you choose a tree for the night. You climb, test branches, build a nest. Branches are bent, leaves stacked. Not thought, but felt. This behavior is in your body, like walking, climbing, sharing. As the sun sets, colours soften. Gold becomes copper, then grey. Sounds change. Nocturnal predators awaken. But you are safe, high in your nest. You lick sap from your hand. Your breathing slows. You do not know you are special. Not that others will one day speak of you, write books about you, unearth your bones. You live, and that is enough. Above you, the first star appears. You close your eyes. Tomorrow you begin again. Chapter 2. Forest Dwellers and Bloodlines. 5.5 million years ago. Ardipithecus. The dawn breaks through a canopy so thick it seems impossible that light can penetrate. You awaken in the heart of an ancient forest. 5.5 million years ago. This world is densely vegetated. Towering trees with broad leaves, palms and ferns, vines draped like living tapestries between massive trunks. Sunlight filters in spangled patches, creating shifting pools of warmth on the forest floor. You are now an Ardipithecus, an early chapter in the hominin story, just a step above Auroran of the dawn, yet still deeply anchored in an arboreal past. Your hands and feet are remarkably different now. Your fingers are long and curved, still perfect for grasping limbs as you swing and climb. Your toes, too, still depend on being able to wrap around branches. Yet an odd sensation lingers whenever you let your feet touch the earth. A strange kind of balance. Your legs carry your weight upright just enough to let your hands stay free. Perhaps that is why your forearms are slimmer than your cousins among the apes, because they are no longer ground-bound. You are learning what it means to stand. Your group is small, around 15 individuals moving as one, yet not as tightly knit as the bands to come. There's a dominant female who leads. Males follow, glancing at each other with brief sparks of rivalry. Juveniles screw their curious faces, stumbling over roots or dangling from low branches. The forest falls around you like a cathedral, columns of stone and green, damp humus underfoot. Morning feeding begins as you emerge from your sleeping nests made of interwoven branches, flexible cradles resting 15 feet above the ground. You stretch, arch your arms, feel birds flutter overhead in a rustle of life. Lowering yourself to the forest floor, you stand momentarily on two legs. The sensation is not comfortable, but you persist. Foraging calls echo ahead, soft chirps and clicks that indicate fruiting figs, edible buds, insects, anything that sustains. Walking is uncertain at first. Your feet roll instinctively inward. Your gait is crooked. You adjust, step tentatively. Every upright move feels unstable, yet offers a new vantage point. You can glimpse berries half hidden in low brush, ferns just uncurling. You blend quadrupedal climbing in higher branches with short, deliberate walks on the ground. This is your adaptation. You're a creature of both worlds. The forest offers peanuts hidden in pod-like husks that have fallen from low-hanging trees. You squat by their shells, snapping them apart with a strong bite. The reward is fatty, nutritious. Curiosity builds as you use a thick twig to dig around shallow roots. Dirt falls away, revealing tuber-like nodules. You bite into one, earthy, fibrous, filling. But the forest is not without its threats. On your walks you imagine the gleam of eyes just beyond a tangle of vines. Leopard lie in wait. Large snakes coil and decay beneath logs. Even your upright steps, which you practice at rest and during feeding, invite danger. After all, you're a spectacle to predators, twice exposed, twice tracked. In the afternoon you hear it. Branches give way in the distance. You raise your head mid-chew, scanning the shadows. A large quadruped stands 20 meters away, something mid-size, low to the ground, perhaps closely related to hippos or early pig-like beasts. It stares. You freeze, making yourselves flat against a mossy trunk. It moves on. You remain where you are for a breath before moving silently back to your troop. The pulse of the forest courses through you. A mother grunts softly, eliciting her soon-to-be offspring from a nest above. The infant scrabbles on her back, wiggling while she crosses in pursuit of fruit. Exchanges of food are frequent. A young one offers you half a fig. An older male receives a treat with lowered lips and soft massaging of shoulders. Grooming is trust. In these exchanges lies the beginning of bloodlines and alliances. You recognize kin through scent, mannerisms, facial structure. Subtle gestures convey who is dominant, who is nurtured, who is a fighter worthy of respect. There's loyalty, but also moments of tension, when a hand reaches for the same berry, when a male steps forward. You learn that individuals matter deeply. You are not your own whole world, nor are you mere face in a troop. You are part of a social equation. Survival depends on the group, yet your seat at the table must be earned through cooperation and careful signalling. Deep inside your leg bones, your pelvis and your hip sockets, changes are taking place. Evolution is chipping away at the old design and chiseling something new. Your femur is angled inward slightly, preparing you to balance on one leg when the other steps forward. Your pelvis is broader, designed to stabilize your trunk. Your spine has a slight curve, one that no longer drags belly down through the dirt but supports an upright silhouette. At dusk, you stand on a low mound, balancing on one leg while picking ticks from your groin. You shift your weight carefully, unbalanced but undeterred. A group watch from behind logs while you clean yourself. In silence they observe. The soft glow of fireflies lingers in the damp air. It watches you too. The forest yields a dribble of sustenance. Butterflies flutter near water. Frogs remain silent. Every find is a precious boon. You gnaw on roots, pluck berries, dig out tubers, fish for termites beneath rotting wood. Each item is fuel for your group's slow burn through the day. Little victories, a successful find, safe retreat, shrugged off sign of conflict. Fear is never distant. As twilight sets in, you notice a pair of glowing eyes, a cat shaped like a small panther. Your troop freezes. You remain still behind a young tree. Sunlight fades in your favor. A soft half-light keeps the forest nearly silent. The cat does not break cover but lingers. You remain as long as possible before turning and climbing. The nest you build tonight is higher, safer. Branches fit together tightly, woven to supporting your weight. Foliage cushions the base. You settle into it as the forest transitions, from diurnal shrieks to nocturnal calls. Your elevated stance isolates you from ground threats, but canopy dwellers, owl-like birds and other small predators enter your line of sensory awareness. You never pause long enough to question who you truly are. Science does not exist. Theology does not yet weigh on your mind. But each night as you breathe slowly in your nest, you sense greatness, something stirring beneath your skin. You're beginning to master dimensions, space, memory, kinship. You rely on scent, sound, sight, touch to guide your future choices. You're aware of the forest's heartbeat, but you also hear your own pulse. This day is a microcosm. Food, fear, balance, kinship. You're both hunter and prey, climber and forager, social creature and lone stander. These contradictions shape your evolution just as inevitable as air moves through the forest. As stars flicker faintly in copper-glowing skylight, you drift towards sleep. You know instinctively you will need to do it all again tomorrow, but tomorrow you might step slightly farther, climb slightly higher, forage slightly smarter, evade slightly better. Each small change is a step forward, not just for you but for your bloodline, for all who share your thresholds and tree trails. You are Ardipithecus, forest dweller, half climber, half walker, full participant in a world that demands innovation in small decisions. Your world is complex, but your path forward is simple. Survive, adapt, and live. Each day builds on the one before. Each breath echoes through eons. The forest exhales, you close your eyes. Sleep comes like a lullaby of dripping leaves and distant primate calls. We'll walk forward. Chapter 3. The River of Teeth. 4.5 million years ago. Australopithecus anamensis. The air is warm, but the breeze carries a cool breath from the river. Morning light glints off the water's slow-moving surface, broken by the ripples of wading animals. Early antelope, warthog-like suids, and crocodiles drifting like logs. You are awake, crouched among reeds and tall grasses. This is your home now, not the thick forest canopy of your ancestors, but a wetter, more open mosaic of woodland and riverbank. A world of both promise and danger. Your Australopithecus anamensis. You grip a smooth stone in your hand, not with intention to craft, but because it helps anchor your balance in the shifting mud. Your fingers are shorter and more robust than those of Ardipithecus. Your thumbs oppose with more confidence. You're more grounded now, literally and evolutionarily. You still climb trees, but your body has changed. You walk more than your ancestors did. Your knees lock more securely. Your ankles absorb more of your weight. You're learning what it means to truly live upright. The river is life. It offers water, plants, shelter from heat, but also hides dangers. Crocodiles patrol the banks. Big cats and massive hyenas prowl nearby, waiting for prey that lowers its guard at the water's edge. And yet, each day you return. The need for hydration and the rich vegetation around the water outweigh the risk. This morning, your group of 20 or so has travelled here early. You stick close to them, not because you understand abstract loyalty, but because in numbers lies protection. As they drink, you stay back, watching. Then you lower yourself, cupping your hands and scooping water to your lips. It is cool, earthy, slightly metallic. The minerals from the volcanic highlands filter through every drop. After drinking, your attention turns to foraging. New plants grow here, tough reeds, fibrous sedges, low shrubs. The fruit is scarcer than in the forest, but the underground bounty is rich. Your jaw is strong, stronger than any hominin before you. Your molars are broad, flat, coated in thick enamel. Evolution has given you new tools, teeth for grinding, for crushing seeds and roots. You crouch and dig with your fingers, pulling up a tough-skinned tuber. You don't cook it. That innovation is far off. You bite down hard. It resists at first, then splits. Your jaw muscles flex. Your premolars grind. It's not sweet like fruit, but it is filling. Your chewing is loud, deliberate, efficient. This is what your teeth were made for. Nearby, a juvenile watches you. It mimics your movements, digging, inspecting the earth, trying to pull its own tuber free. This is how learning happens now. No language, no teaching, just watching, copying, experimenting. It will take years for this young one to master foraging. But there is time. The group protects its young, not with strategy, but with presence. As you chew, your tongue explores your molars. One is chipped, a tiny fracture maybe from a piece of grit in yesterday's root. Your teeth are your most vital tools, but they wear down quickly. You'll live a short life. Perhaps 25 years, 30 at most. Your teeth will bear the record of every bite you take. Midday approaches, and the heat builds. You move into the shade of an acacia tree. Its thorns protect its precious seed pods. You reach for one, using a stick to knock it loose. Again, not a tool in the modern sense, but an extension of your hand. You break the pod open and chew the bitter seeds. Some are spit out, others are swallowed. Your gut will sort out the nutrition from the waste. Around you, others do the same. A female grooms another's back, picking through fur for parasites. The one being groomed leans into the motion, eyes half closed. These quiet acts form bonds, not conscious, not emotional in the human sense, but rooted in evolution. Social creatures survive better. Touch affirms safety. Later in the afternoon, you spot movement near the river's edge. A herd of large antelope. They are skittish. Their ears flick. Their heads rise and lower. You crouch and observe, breath quiet. Then, a crash in the reeds. A cat. A roar. The herd flees in a blur of muscle and panic. Your group responds in kind. No one screams, but everyone moves. Upright or on all fours, you rush toward the trees. You climb with practiced ease. Though your arms are shorter than your ancestors, they still pull you into the lower canopy. You find a branch to perch on. From here you can see the cat dragging a young antelope. Its teeth sink into soft flesh. You stay still. The cat eats first. You, perhaps, will return when it's gone. Scavenging has become part of your strategy. Bone marrow is rich in calories, and your strong jaws can crack bone. By dusk, the air cools. Insects sing in waves. You return to the river briefly to drink again. You do not stay long. Instead, you find a tree and begin to build your nest. It is not as high as those of earlier hominins. You are more confident on the ground now. But the tree still offers peace. You weave branches, tuck in leaves, settle your weight. Your jaw aches. Your body is tired, but you are alive, adapted, successful. You have teeth strong enough to unlock the calories of a changing world. You have legs sturdy enough to walk across the shifting terrain of ancient East Africa. You have the beginnings of memory, of social connection, of environmental knowledge. You are not human, but you're something new, something enduring. As the stars appear, their light reflected in the dark mirror of the river, you curl your fingers beneath your chin and close your eyes. The wind rustles the reeds. Somewhere nearby, something large stirs, but not too near. You sleep. Tomorrow you'll eat again, walk again, bite, grind, forage, flee. Each day is another layer of enamel on the fossil record of your kind, another page in the long, grinding, chewing, surviving story of becoming human. Chapter 4. Life on the Savannah, 4 million years ago. Australopithecus afarensis. The forest is behind you now. Once it stretched in every direction, dense, sheltering, dark with shadow and memory. But you have walked beyond the trees into a new world, the open savannah. It yawns in front of you like an endless sea of grass and scattered thorn trees. The air is hotter here, drier. The shade is sparser. The rules are different. You're Australopithecus afarensis, and your body is learning to survive in a land that rewards those who stand tall, move fast, and see far. You wake in the crook of a tree where you've slept most nights since birth. But this tree stands alone, a sentinel in the grass, not part of a forest. You climb down, feet hitting the dry earth with a muted thud. The ground is flat, the horizon wide. The scent of morning dust and sun-dried dung rises with the light. You stand, not in brief moments like your ancestors, but with confidence. Your legs are longer now. Your pelvis, shorter and broader, supports your torso with more balance. Your feet no longer grasp branches as easily. They are flatter, more rigid, with arches forming. This isn't just standing, this is walking. Bipedalism is now your default. The savanna demands it. Trees are few and far between. To move, to search for food or safety, you must cross open space. You walk on two legs not just because you can, but because you must. And when you do, you see more. Your eyes scan above the grasses, searching for movement, predators, prey, food, shelter. Your group, around 20 individuals, moves together. Infants cling to their mothers' backs or bellies. Older juveniles stay close to adults. There's no plan, no leader in the human sense, but there is rhythm. The group flows like a living organism, slowing near food, speeding up when danger looms. Mid-morning you find a patch of roots and tubers. The soil is dry, but your fingers are practiced. You dig, scrape, pull free a starchy root and bite down. It's tough, flavourless, but it fills your belly. A juvenile mimics you, chewing noisily. Your molars grind with powerful force. Your jaw evolved for this very task. Nearby, others gather seeds, chew fibrous leaves, or dig insects from decaying logs. A few still climb when needed, but most work the ground. This is your niche now, between tree and plain, between climbing and striding, between ape and human. The heat builds. The savanna has little mercy in the midday sun. You rest under the spreading canopy of a lone acacia, its branches thin and thorny, its shadow precious. There is little breeze. You pant like many mammals here, trying to cool down. You do not sweat as future humans will, not yet, but you know when to slow, when to conserve. The openness of the savanna comes with risk. You're more visible now, a lioness, silent, golden, lean with hunger, watches from the tall grass. She is far, but not far enough. Your group senses it. Not through words or thought, but through posture, tension, stillness. You are prey, and you know it. An adult male gives a short, guttural warning. Everyone moves. Upright but hunched, fast but controlled. The nearest tree is 80 meters away. You run. Your gait is awkward but steady. Arms swing, legs pump, feet strike dry ground. Behind you, the lioness watches, but does not follow. Not this time. Later, from the safety of the branches, you look back at the plain. Birds wheel in the sky. A herd of ancient antelope moves like wind-blown reeds. The horizon glimmers with heat. This land is wide, open, and filled with promise and peril. You descend again. The day is not over. Your survival depends on your ability to move between safety and exposure, to balance risk with reward. You travel along dry stream beds, searching for scattered fruiting trees. You listen to bird calls, some signal danger, others opportunity. The savanna speaks, if you know how to hear it. Toward evening you find a grove. Not a forest, but enough trees to sleep in. You drink from a shallow pool, stagnant but necessary. You pluck a few sour berries from low branches. They stain your fingers red. You climb, select a strong limb, begin to build a sleeping nest. Is not instinctual anymore. It's deliberate, methodical. You bend branches, weave leaves, test weight. Others do the same around you. As the sun sets, the land cools. Shadows stretch long. In the distance, hyenas call to one another. You're safe for now, but not guaranteed. You curl into your nest, your limbs tucked in close. You stare at the darkening sky. You do not think about evolution, or adaptation, or survival, but your body tells the story. Longer legs, straighter hips, flatter feet, stronger jaws. You are walking more, climbing less, eating new foods, taking greater risks, becoming something new. The stars blink above the savanna, silent witnesses to your quiet transformation. You close your eyes. Tomorrow, you walk again. Chapter 5. Lucy's pad, 3.7 million years ago. Laetoli footprints. The world is quiet after the eruption. Ash covers the land in a pale blanket, soft, warm, and strangely comforting. The volcano has long stopped spewing fire, but its breath still hangs in the air, heavy and dry. The ground beneath your feet feels different today. Not the coarse grit of sand, not the cool cushion of grass, but something softer. It yields gently with each step. You're walking through time itself, though you do not know it. Your name is forgotten, but one day you will be called Australopithecus afarensis. And your footprints, pressed now into the damp volcanic ash, will last millions of years. You move carefully but upright, your head bobbing slightly with each step. Your strides are short, your arms swing naturally at your sides. You walk not like an ape, but not quite like a human either. Your gait is a bridge between worlds. You're not alone. Another walks beside you, larger, perhaps a mate or protector. A third, smaller figure skips occasionally between your tracks, a juvenile, family. Around you, the landscape still smoulders in places. Trees are dusted and grey. The usual sounds of birds and insects are muffled by the ash. The world feels muted, but you continue walking, guided by the instincts of your kind. You're searching for food, water, safety. The volcano may have shaken the land, but your needs remain constant. Your feet press into the ash with every step. Toes spread slightly, heels land first. Arches lift just enough to show the faintest curve. These are not the prints of a creature that walks on all fours. They are bipedal, deliberate, and they are yours. The volcanic ash, damp from recent rains, captures every detail. It holds the record of your passing, the pressure points, the spacing, the pause where you looked back or shifted your weight. You do not know that your steps will harden, fossilize, and one day be uncovered by creatures who will marvel at how you moved. You're simply walking. It is your way. Nearby, a stream cuts through the grey. Steam rises from its banks. You kneel to drink, your face reflected in the still water. Heavy brow, flat nose, strong jaw. Your eyes hold awareness, but not reflection. You do not ponder who you are, but your brain is growing faster than your ancestors. You remember places, faces. You understand risk, reward, rhythm. After drinking, you continue onward. The ash clings to your feet, but you do not mind. The air is cooler today. The cloud of particles blocks the sun's harshness. You forage along the edge of a grove, plucking seeds, gnawing bark, digging for roots. Your teeth, broad, flat molars with thick enamel, are well suited for this tough diet. You chew slowly, rhythmically. The juvenile plays nearby, poking at insects trapped in the ash. You keep one eye on them, listening for danger. Predators are still around, leopards, hyenas, snakes, but they too are cautious in this strange landscape. For now, the silence protects you. By midday, you've travelled far. The ash changes underfoot, becoming drier, less impressionable. Your prints here are fainter, soon to be lost. But the ones earlier, those first steps in the damp volcanic dust, they will remain, impressions in time. You rest beneath a low acacia. Others from your group gather. A few groom one another. One female nurses an infant. A male watches the horizon. You sit, legs outstretched, letting the dust coat your skin. It cools you. It marks you. You feel no awe for the moment, no sense of significance. But your steps, preserved behind you, will carry a message. They will tell your descendants that you walked upright, that you lived, that you endured. As the sun dips lower, the ash reflects it like snow. The world glows in soft gold. You rise, you walk again, leaving more prints, more echoes of your passing. You do not know it, but you've just written a line in the long poem of human history, not in words, in footsteps, in rhythm, in dust. Tomorrow the wind may shift, the ash may cover or reveal, but your tracks will endure, buried and waiting for eyes that do ponder, that do remember, for the ones who will call this path Lucy's Pad. Chapter 6. The Tool Spirits, 3.3 million years ago. First Tools. The morning begins as it often does, cool, still, with the soft hum of insects in the grass and the rustle of wind in the trees. But today something different lingers in the air. You can't name it. You can't explain it. Yet in your hands it takes form, a stone, and not just any stone, but one you chose, one you struck, one you now hold with intent. Your Australopithecus afarensis, still halfway between ape and human, still using instinct more than thought. But this is a moment that will echo across millions of years. Today, you change your world. The stone is smooth on one side, sharp on the other. Its edge was not shaped by accident. You picked it up, struck it against another rock, and noticed the way it fractured, how it left behind a cutting edge. You don't call this a tool, you don't call it anything, but you remember it. That sharp edge scrape bark, open fruit, tear into flesh. It is useful. You sit by a dried riverbed. The earth here is cracked and sun-bleached, but in its dust lies potential. Bones litter the ground, remnants of a kill left behind by predators with stronger jaws but less dexterity. You watch as vultures circle overhead, waiting. Then you approach. The carcass is picked over, but marrow remains, locked inside the hard shell of bone. You lift your stone. You strike. The crack is dull but deep. You strike again. The bone splits. Inside is rich fatty marrow, a treasure of calories. You scoop it out with a stick and lick it clean. The taste is new, primal. Your body responds instantly. You've discovered something powerful. Not just a new food, but a new way to reach it. Others from your group watch. Some approach, curious. One tries to copy your motion, lifting a rock, striking clumsily. The results are mixed, noisy, messy, sometimes successful. But something has begun. Not just a behavior, but a tradition. A seed planted in the shared memory of your kind. Later in the day, you walk along a rocky outcrop. Your eyes scan the ground, not just for food, but for materials. You pick up a heavy stone, weigh it in your hand, discard it. Another, lighter, sharper, just right. You keep it. You're not building machines. You're not inventing. But you're selecting, acting with purpose. That is the difference. You carry your stone with you. Your hands, now freed by bipedalism, have become explorers. They test, grip, press. Your fingers are strong and precise. When you reach a patch of roots, you use the stone to dig, prying apart soil, exposing tubers. You clean them with the edge of a leaf. You eat. In the shade of an acacia tree, others gather. A young one holds a rock in both hands, turning it over and over. They do not understand it yet, but they're learning, watching, mimicking. This is the beginning of something that will grow over millennia. Knowledge passed not just by instinct, but by observation. You do not think about the future. You do not dream of civilization or wonder what these actions mean. But with every cut, every choice, you're shaping the path that leads there. You're the first of the tool spirits, creatures who alter their world, not just respond to it. The afternoon grows hot. You rest. The stone sits beside you. You touch it occasionally, turning it in your fingers. It is both object and extension of your will, a bridge between your body and the landscape. It gives you power, but not dominance. Not yet. Predators still rule. Your place in the food chain is precarious, but you've taken a step. Later you hear a commotion. Birds scatter. Cries rise from the group. A leopard has been spotted in the brush. You retreat quickly, not up a tree this time, but into a narrow rocky crevice. Your stone is in your hand. It won't save you, not if the cat attacks, but it gives you something. Courage, focus, a sense of agency you didn't have before. The predator passes. Your group regathers. You share what you've found, bone shards, tools, food. There is no language, but there is meaning, a glance, a gesture, a grunt. These are the foundations of cooperation. As the sun begins to set, you climb a small hill, watching the land darken. The stone is with you still. It has left marks on your fingers. Tomorrow it may break, or you may lose it. But others will come. Others will learn. The act has begun. You sit and eat quietly, your belly full from marrow and root. Around you, the others settle into evening routines. Grooming, resting, whispering their primitive communications. The stars begin to appear. You look up briefly, not with wonder but with habit. The world above is still mysterious, but the world below, this you are beginning to shape. You press your fingers into the dirt next to the stone. The imprint is shallow, but it is yours. You do not know it, but you're leaving a different kind of mark now. Not just footprints, but actions that ripple through time. Your tools are simple. Your mind is still more instinct than plan. But today you became something new. A creature who acts with intention. A creature who transforms. The first tool spirit. And the world will never be the same. Chapter 7. Flesh and Fire. 2.5 million years ago. Homo habilis. The sun rises orange over the savannah, casting long shadows across the land. The air smells of dew and dust, warm already despite the early hour. You stretch beside a rock outcrop where your group slept last night, huddled together for warmth and safety, tucked in low hollows beneath stone and sky. Your name is unknown, but to the world that will one day examine your bones, you are Homo habilis, the handy man, a new kind of being, a mind on the edge of something vast. You're not the strongest, not the fastest. Your claws are short, your canines smaller than the cats who prowl nearby. But you have something else. Not just tools, those have existed before. What you possess is focus, memory, and a hunger fed not just by instinct but by thought. And this morning, your body hungers for meat. It's not just food anymore, it's fuel. The fat and protein in muscle and marrow feed your brain, and your brain is growing. The difference is not size alone, it is in pattern, in connection. Your thoughts stretch further than your ancestors. You recall places where carcasses were found. You remember which bones crack easily, where marrow hides. You're beginning to plan. Your group stirs, 8 adults, 3 juveniles. A female with strong forearms nurses a toddler who clings to her side like a second skin. Others rise, scan the horizon, sniff the wind. There's tension already. Hunger sharpens every glance, tightens every gesture. You grip a stone tool in your hand, flake of basalt sharp along one edge. Not crafted beautifully, but chosen for purpose. It's your knife, your ticket to nourishment. By mid-morning you walk the savannah in small bands, eyes always searching. The wind carries the scent of decay, faint but there. You move toward it. Not a hunt, not yet, but perhaps a find. A kill site, maybe. You're not apex predators. Lions, hyenas, and saber-toothed cats still rule here. But they leave scraps, and scraps are survival. You come upon it near a dry creek bed, a carcass, fresh. Blood still pools in the grass. A zebra-like animal, its neck torn by claws. The killer is gone, for now. Your group freezes. You scan the brush. No movement. Then you step forward. This is where your hands become weapons. Your stone strikes bone, splits hide. Others join, flaking meat from the flank, cutting into tendons. A rhythm forms. Slice, pull, chew. The flesh is tough, rich, greasy with life. Your jaw works harder than it would on tubers or fruit, but the reward is immense. You eat fast, time is short. Predators may return, but every bite is transformation. Fat and protein, once rare, now flow through your blood. They will reach your brain, and that brain will grow slowly over generations. Your children will remember more, solve better, connect faster. A juvenile watches as you use your stone to break open a leg bone. The sound cracks across the plain. You pry it open, revealing the pale treasure inside. Marrow. Soft, oily, warm. You scoop it with your fingers, lick it clean. You hand some to the young one. They mimic you, clumsy but learning. Suddenly, a warning cry. One of your group spots movement. A hyena, slinking low, then another. You grab your tool, rise. You do not fight. Not yet. Instead, you flee. You abandon the carcass, meat still clinging to the ribs. The hyenas reach it seconds later, snarling, ripping, filling the air with the sound of tearing flesh. You retreat to a rock formation, breathing hard, watching from above. You are not masters of this world. You are competitors, scavengers, sometimes prey. But your brain, your hands, your memory, these are weapons too. By late afternoon, the group regathers near a place you've come to know, a cliff overhang sheltered from the wind. In its basin, a discovery waits. Not fire itself, the memory of fire. Charcoal in the dust, burnt bones. You did not make the flame, but someone, maybe lightning, maybe chance, brought it here, and your kind did not flee. You approach the old fire pit, now cold. You touch the blackened stones, the fragments of bone split by heat. You sniff, as if searching for the scent of yesterday's blaze. Fire, when it comes, will change everything. Not just how you eat, but how you gather. How you stay warm, how you defend. It will become hearth and symbol and weapon. But not yet. Today you only remember it. You rest. Your belly is full enough, a rare thing. You lie on your side, your tool in reach. Your eyes scan the darkening sky. You do not name the stars, but you track their rhythms. You know that when certain shapes appear, rains will follow. When others fade, the dry season begins. You do not speak these things aloud, but they live in you. As night falls, your group presses close. You make sounds, grunts, clicks, rising and falling tones. Not words, not quite, but communication. You point, you gesture, you teach, in your way. You close your eyes and dream, not of gods or futures, but of meat and stone and fire. Your dreams are short, simple, vivid, but something ancient stirs behind your brow. Tomorrow you will hunt again, or scavenge, or flee, but you will remember, you will plan, you will teach, you will choose. And one day, one of your kind will strike stone against stone, not just to cut, but to spark, to make fire, to hold it, to tame it, to change the night. Tonight you lie in the dark, but the fire is coming. Chapter 8. Hunters of the Plain, 2 million years ago. Homo erectus. The wind sweeps over the savannah, bending tall grasses in waves of gold. The sun, just risen, lights the horizon with fire. In the cool air of morning, your group is already on the move, silent, focused, and hungry. You're not foraging anymore. You're not waiting for scraps. You're hunting, and you are Homo erectus, the upright human. Taller, leaner, faster, smarter. A new kind of predator walks the earth. You run with the strength of purpose. Your legs are long, muscled for distance. Your sweat cools you as you move, allowing you to chase long after other animals would overheat. Persistence hunting is your gift, your lungs, heart and limbs working in coordination to wear down your prey. You do not need to outrun it in speed. You will outrun it in time. Ahead of you, hoofprints in the soil, fresh, deep. You recognize them. Antelope, maybe. Small herd, likely resting in the shade near a stream. You track them not by instinct alone, but by memory. You remember the bend in the land, the curve of the trees. You know where they go when they flee. You plan. You share that plan. Your group of hunters moves as one. 5 of you, armed with sharpened wooden spears. Simple tools, but deadly in practiced hands. You grunt softly, gesture with your hands, pointing, circling. There is no formal language yet, but meaning passes between you clearly. You coordinate, you trust. By midday, the sun is high and you've found the herd. Antelope, nervous, ears flicking. They've sensed something. You stay hidden, crouch behind brush. Then, a signal. You rise, you move. The hunt begins. The chase is not a sprint, but a pursuit. Over hours you follow. The antelope flee and pause, flee and pause. You do not stop. You move through heat and dust, never letting them rest. You flush them toward the others in your group, herding them into a trap of movement and terrain. You see the signs of fatigue, foam at their mouths, legs trembling. Then an opening. One stumbles. A spear flies. It hits. Another follows. The animal collapses, kicking once, twice, then stillness. You approach slowly, reverently. This is not just food, it is survival, power, proof. The kill is shared. The carcass is stripped with stone tools, flesh cut into strips, bones broken for marrow. You work quickly, always watching for scavengers. The meat is rich and you eat with hands slick from fat. You know the taste of victory. It fills you, feeds your muscles, sharpens your mind. Your brain is large now, nearly double the size of your ancestors. And it shows. You solve, predict, learn. You remember paths, patterns, danger. Fire flickers at the edge of your world, no longer rest faster, sleep deeper, you're a stranger. Your group carries embers from place to place, cradled in bark or buried in ash. Use it to keep warm, to ward off predators, to cook. Fire transforms meat, softens it, releases more energy. With it you digest, dream further. You return to camp. A clearing beside a cliff wall, protected on one side, open to the stars. Others wait. Older individuals, children, females who tend the hearth. Smoke rises gently from a pile of glowing coals. The fire is tended with care, fed with dried grass and twigs, guarded like a treasure. Around it your people gather. There is no word for family, but you live it. You share food, you share warmth. You pass down knowledge through motion, mimicry and sound. A child watches you carve a flake from a stone, sees how your hand moves. They try, fail, try again. You correct with a nudge, a grunt of approval. Learning has begun to stretch beyond survival. It becomes culture. As night falls, the plain changes. Lions roar in the distance. Hyenas laugh under the stars. But you're not afraid, not like before. The fire keeps them back. The group keeps them back. You sleep close together, backs warm, ears alert. You dream in fragments of the hunt of flickering light of the stars. You do not know what they are, those lights above, but they mark your nights. You begin to associate them with seasons, migration, cycles. You follow the herds across vast distances now. Your legs take you further than any hominin before you. You're leaving Africa. Slowly, generation by generation, your kind moves north, east, into new lands. Grasslands, forests, coasts. You do not map it, but you remember the way. You return to water sources, sheltering cliffs, fruitful trees. You pass the knowledge to others, not in language, but in footsteps. By morning the coals are still warm. You stoke them back to life. The group rises, stretching, checking tools, checking the skies. Another day begins, another journey across the plain. You're not done evolving, but you have taken control. You shape the land around you now. You use tools, you wield fire, you cooperate, you remember. You are no longer just surviving. You are living. You are Homo erectus, and the world will never forget your steps. Chapter 9. Flames in the Night. 1.5 million years ago. Homo erectus. The sun slips behind the horizon, casting the last light of day in hues of deep orange and blood red. The savannah grows quiet, the birds fall silent, and the nocturnal chorus prepares to rise. For most creatures, this is the hour of withdrawal, of fear, of hiding from predators that own the dark. But for you, for your kind, this is the beginning of something different. This is when the fire is lit. You sit close to it now, cross-legged, eyes fixed on the dancing flame. You're Homo erectus, and your hands have brought fire under your control. Not just found it in the aftermath of lightning, not just chased it from burning trees, but carried it, fed it, tended it. You are the firekeeper. Around you the group gathers. Adults settle on the dry ground or lean against rocks. A child dozes against their mother's leg. Your faces flicker with light and shadow. The night air is cool, but the fire pushes it back. It warms your limbs, your chest, your thoughts. This flame has changed everything. It is not yet something you can make at will. You still must steal it, from embers, from nature's wild offerings. But once it is yours, you know how to keep it alive. You build a hearth from stones. You place dry grass and twigs in the center, then larger wood. You breathe life into it when it falters. You guard it from wind and rain. It is not only heat, it is time, protection, transformation. The hunt day brought meat. The carcass dragged near the fire was skinned with stone tools, the flesh cut into long strips. The fire cooked it slowly, changing its smell, its texture. The fat dripped, sizzled, flared. The meat was tender, easier to chew, easier to digest. You sat in silence as it cooked, the group focused, patient. Now, full and warm, you stare into the embers. You do not speak, not in words, but the quiet is rich with thought. The fire allows for stillness without fear. Its glow extends the day. You do not have to sleep yet, and in this new space, this new time carved from darkness, your mind begins to stretch. You notice patterns, the way the flames move, the way shadows dance on the rock behind you. You remember the sound of the hunt, the path the prey took, the bend of the wind. You think, not just react. You relive. You anticipate. Your thoughts run deeper. One of the elders shifts and tosses another stick on the fire. Sparks rise like a swarm of glowing insects. A child watches, wide-eyed. They reach out and feel the heat. Not too close. They've learned. Fire burns. It feeds, but it punishes. You respect it, always. The flames cast halos around each of you. You see the shapes of those you live with. Strong limbs, wide faces, rough hands. But in this light, you also see the softness. A touch shared between companions. A hand brushing hair from a child's brow. These are the early moments of affection, of recognition, of bonding beyond survival. The predators no longer approach. You hear them in the distance, the low growl of a lion, the yipping calls of hyenas. But they do not come close. They fear the fire. You sleep more soundly now, knowing its light stands guard. Your dreams change. They become clearer, longer. You remember more. You see shapes in the dark behind your eyes. The herd of antelope you chased last week, the thunderstorm that flooded your path, the moment your spear struck flesh. Your brain, growing steadily over thousands of generations, finds room in the night for imagination. You're not alone with your fire. Other groups have learned it too. When you move across the land, you leave signs, ash pits, scorched bones, blackened stones. You find traces of others, circles of fire, long cooled. You approach carefully. Sometimes you meet, sometimes you fight, sometimes you share. The fire becomes a language of its own. Where it burns, there is life. Where it smokes, there are people. Its presence marks a space as claimed, as occupied. Your group returns to familiar fire sites, recognizing their shape, their smell. In the ashes lie the memories of meals, of safety, of stories, though you do not yet speak them aloud. You wake once in the night, the fire dimming. You rise quietly, add fuel. The embers breathe and flare. Others sleep around you, curled on furs, on grass mats. You sit alone with the flames for a while, thinking nothing, feeling everything. The warmth, the rhythm, the pulse of something new stirring behind your brow. This is no longer just survival. This is becoming. Fire teaches you time, how to wait, how to prepare. It teaches you patience. It teaches you that light can be made, that darkness is not a prison. It gives you the first sense of control over the world around you. You can change it, shape it. You will not always succeed. Fire can escape. It can destroy. But tonight it belongs to you. When morning comes, the fire will be banked, buried, or carried. You will move again, but this glow, this moment, remains. You sit close, hands stretched toward the flame. You watch the night not in fear, but in wonder. And as stars blink above, you feel it. You're not just in the world. You're beginning to change it. Chapter 10. The Great Migration 1.81 million years ago out of Africa. The wind smells different here. It carries new scents, of pine and frost, of foreign grasses and unknown animals. The sun rises through a haze of mist that your ancestors never knew, casting light on a land unlike the warm savannas you left behind. You have crossed a boundary few species ever will. You are Homo erectus and you have left Africa. The journey was not a decision. You did not gather to discuss it or choose a path. It happened over generations, slowly, steadily, like the tide moving inland. Your kind followed water, followed game, followed the rhythm of the seasons. You walked, carrying your stone tools, your fire, your memories. And one day, the land beneath your feet was no longer the land of your birth. The Rift Valley gave way to deserts, then grasslands, then forests. Some crossed into what would one day be the Middle East. Others pushed east into Asia, and still more wandered west into southern Europe. This was not a single march, but many threads weaving slowly outward. Over thousands of years your people expanded across continents. The world was opening. Here in this new place, the air bites at your skin, the nights are colder. You wrap yourself in animal hide, crude, untanned, but enough to keep the wind from your bones. Fire is no longer a luxury, it is life. You carry embers in hollowed bark, feeding them when they dim, protecting them through rain and snow. Without fire you will not survive. The land challenges you. The animals are unfamiliar, massive elk with towering antlers, woolly rhinoceroses, cave lions that stalk the shadows. Some are more dangerous than any predator you knew in Africa, others more elusive. But you learn, you adapt, you watch their habits, their migration routes. You shape your hunting around them. Your tools evolve. The hand axe becomes your signature, shaped from stone with symmetry, balance and skill. Not just a rock, but a weapon, a cleaver, a symbol of thought. You carry it with you always, tied to a cord of sinew or gripped in your fist. With it you butcher meat, dig for roots, defend against attack. With it you leave your mark. You walk great distances. Your legs are made for endurance. Your brain holds maps, not of roads, but of rivers, mountains, animal paths. You know where to find shelter in a storm, where to return when the season turns. Your migrations are not wandering. They are memory and motion. In Asia, your people encounter bamboo forests, humid swamps, and volcanic highlands. You learn to split bamboo, to harvest shoots, to find edible roots in unfamiliar soil. In Europe, you face the first hints of glaciation, bitter winters, short growing seasons. You shelter in caves, build windbreaks, press close to fire through endless nights. In these new lands, your group bonds more tightly. Danger surrounds you and unity is your greatest tool. You do not speak with words, but your eyes, your hands, your posture all convey meaning. A glance tells of threat. A grunt signals direction. You communicate enough to coordinate hunts, to warn of predators, to share a find. The beginnings of language are stirring. Children are born on these new paths. They grow knowing only the cold, the trees, the strange birds that call at dawn. They learn to flake stone by watching. They touch fire with awe. They chase each other across meadows that have never known hominins. They become the first true wanderers. You pass rivers too wide to wade, but you build rafts of driftwood and vines. You cross mountains, losing some to snow and falls, but pressing on. You find warmth in hot springs, shelter beneath cliffs, protection in canyons. You mark places not with symbols, but with memory. The large boulder shaped like a bird, the tree with two trunks, the stream where the antelope come at dusk. The challenges change you. Your body grows leaner, more rugged. Your mind sharpens. You begin to anticipate weather, to track stars without knowing it. The position of the moon means cold is coming. The call of birds signals migration. You're no longer reacting. You're preparing. The world is different beyond Africa, but so are you. At night you sit by the fire in a pine forest. Snow clings to the branches above, but the flames keep the chill at bay. You chew roasted meat, the fat dripping onto your chin. Around you others do the same, silent, content, alive. You stare into the fire and remember the place your parents spoke of, the hot land, the tall grass, the endless sun. You have not forgotten Africa. You carry it in your gait, in your hands, in the shape of your skull. But this place is yours now too. You're not just a traveller, you're a settler of worlds. One day, far in the future, others will trace your bones. They will find your tools in riverbeds, your fire pits in caves, your footprints fossilized in forgotten clay. They will call this the first migration, the first time humans left home. But to you, it was not history. It was life. It was hunger and curiosity. It was wind in your face and mountains on the horizon. It was the rhythm of footfall after footfall, heading toward the unknown. And still you walk. Always forward. Chapter 11. The Icy Wind, 700,000 years ago. Europe, cold climates. The wind never stops. It screams across the barren land like a living force, biting into your skin, driving snow into your eyes, pulling warmth from your body like a predator. The trees here are sparse and twisted. The ground is frozen, hard as stone. Food is scarce, danger is constant, but you're still here. You're Homo heidelbergensis, and you have learned how to live inside the jaws of the ice. Europe, now deep in the grip of an ice age, is a place of contrast, of deadly cold and quiet beauty, of brilliant white snow and deep blue shadows. This is not your ancestors' warm Africa. It is not even the gentler forests of southern lands. This is survival in its rawest form. Your group moves through the snow, wrapped in the hides of animals. Not clothing as modern humans know it. No stitching, no weaving, but skins draped across shoulders, tied at the waist with tendons, wrapped around feet with strips of bark. It keeps the wind off, traps heat, allows you to walk where the unprepared would freeze. You learned this through trial and error. Those who wore nothing died. Those who draped fur around their bodies lived. And now it is part of your knowledge, passed down not by speech but by demonstration, by imitation, by necessity. Your fire burns low in a hollow beneath a cliff, sheltered by rocks and snow-packed walls. It takes great effort to keep it alive. You collect wood from trees long dead, broken branches buried beneath drifts. Sometimes the fire goes out, and you carry glowing coals inside bark bundles or in hollow bones. You huddle around it at night, sharing breath, sharing warmth. The fire is not just heat now, it is safety, it is life. Today you hunt. The snow crunches beneath your feet as you move in single file. You carry spears, long wooden shafts tipped with fire-hardened points. You do not throw them, not yet. You drive animals into traps, into narrow paths between rocks, into pits dug over days. Your prey, woolly rhinoceros, ancient deer, maybe even mammoth if your numbers are strong. You track by more than sight. You feel the snow, read its indentations. You recognize fresh prints, how the ice compresses differently under heavy hooves, how yellowing snow reveals where an animal rested. You're not running after prey. You're thinking, planning, predicting. You know how to wait. The hunt is hard, it always is. One of your companions is injured by a flailing hoof. Blood spills onto the snow. You bind the wound with dried moss, tie it with sinew. You do not leave them behind. Your kind has learned. A single body is weak. A group survives. You lean on one another, literally, in every sense. The kill, when it comes, is both triumph and necessity. The animal falls with a sound like thunder, its breath steaming into the cold air. Your group descends upon it quickly. The hide is thick, the muscle dense. You work fast with stone hand axes, cutting through tendon and bone, dividing meat among the group. Nothing is wasted. The hide will become another layer of warmth. The bones, tools, weapons, fuel, the tendons, cordage, the fat, precious calories. You chew a hunk of raw liver, its iron taste sharp on your tongue. You're cold, tired, but alive. Back at the shelter, the meat is roasted slowly over the fire. Fat crackles, smoke rises into the dark sky. Children sit close to their parents, watching, learning. You grunt softly, sharing thoughts, not words, but ideas. You point to the wound, to the snow, to the track. You teach. The cold sharpens your instincts. You have learned to anticipate storms, to read the shape of clouds, to feel the air change in your lungs. When the wind shifts and the sky turns grey, you dig deeper into snowbanks, reinforce walls, press closer together. Your shelter is not a home, it is a survival machine. There is beauty here too. You see it in the ice crystals on fur, the shimmer of starlight on snow, the way the fire flickers on the frozen walls. You feel awe when the northern lights dance above the trees, colours that mean nothing but stir something ancient in your chest. You've also started leaving marks. On cave walls, faint scratches. On bones, patterned notches. Not art, not yet, but intention, a signal, a memory, a warning, a claim. The first whispers of culture in a land too cold for comfort. You live fewer years than your descendants will, but each of those years is hard-earned. You adapt constantly. Your shoulders grow broader, your hands more powerful. You can crack bones, carry hides, throw a spear with lethal strength. Your mind, deep calculating, aware, guides your body through this frozen world. The night falls early in this age. Darkness swallows the sky, but the fire still burns, the hides still wrap your limbs, the group still hums softly with breath and movement. A child laughs, chasing a spark. An elder hums a low tone. The world is cold, but your circle is warm. You do not dream of summer. You do not remember Africa, but you do remember survival. You remember that when the wind howls, you lean together, that when the snow falls, you build deeper, that when the ice closes in, you burn brighter. You are Homo heidelbergensis, and the ice will not take you. Chapter 12. The Gentle Makers, 500,000 years ago. Homo heidelbergensis. The morning begins not with a chase, not with hunger or fear, but with hands, steady, practiced, deliberate, shaping stone. You sit cross-legged beside a shallow stream. Light dances across the water and glints on the surface of the rocks you've gathered, each one chosen not at random, but by weight, shape, grain. You lift a piece of flint and strike it with another stone, once, twice, again. Flakes peel away, the edge sharpens, a pattern begins to form. You're not just breaking stone, you're making something. You are Homo heidelbergensis, and your tools now tell a deeper story. No longer just sharp rocks for cutting meat or smashing bones. Now, symmetry, balance, precision. Hand axes shaped to fit the curve of a palm, scrapers honed for hide, awls for piercing, chisels for shaping wood. Each tool has a purpose. Each strike of stone carries intent, and behind that intent lies thought, real thought. Cause, effect, memory, imagination. Others gather around. A child watches silently, mimicking your hand movements in the dust. Another adult flints their own blade nearby, occasionally glancing at your work. There is no speech, not yet, but communication passes through gesture, through demonstration, through gaze. Learning is no longer just instinct, it is collaboration. Across the camp, a mother soothes an injured child. The child's leg is twisted, perhaps from a fall. It will never walk properly again. In the past, this would have meant death, but not now. The group tends to them, feeds them, protects them. You carry them when needed. This is new. This is empathy. It doesn't come from words or laws or belief systems. It comes from presence, from the simple act of caring. The child survives, grows, watches, learns in their own way. You have learned that strength is not just in muscle or teeth, but in kindness, in endurance, in patience. Nearby, bones are being cleaned, not for food, but for use. A jawbone is smoothed to serve as a scoop. A rib is carved to make a point. Even antler and ivory are worked. A toolkit is growing both in variety and complexity. With each generation, knowledge expands. passed on not through writing but through repetition, through craft, through care. You walk through the forest in the afternoon scanning for resources, not just food now, though that still drives you, but wood, stone, fibre, resin. Your world is made of materials. You know which tree branches bend without breaking, which vines bind without snapping. You carry bundles home. You plan to make something useful, perhaps even something beautiful. At the edge of your camp stands a structure. Not a house, not a hut, but a deliberate arrangement of branches. A shelter, yes, but also a signal. It marks your place. It shows others where you've stayed. It shelters your fire. Fire, which now burns regularly in your life. Not by accident, but by effort. You feed it, shape it. Use it to cook meat, soften roots, dry hides. At night the fire glows low. You sit around it with others. The children fall asleep curled together on bedding of dried grass. The elders murmur soft rhythmic sounds. They're not songs, not yet, but they're more than noise. They comfort, they connect. A rhythm, a pattern, perhaps a memory. You listen. Someone taps a stick against a hollow log. A pattern emerges. You feel it in your chest. Others respond, clapping, grunting, nodding. These are the roots of ritual, of rhythm, of something deeper than survival. You're no longer just reacting to the world. You're beginning to reflect on it. In the flickering firelight, someone presses their hand against a flat stone. They smear ash and crushed berries around it, leaving a shape, a negative imprint of fingers and palm. A mark. Not for hunting, not for food, just to say, I was here. This is the beginning of symbol, of the idea that experience can be shared, that memory can be external, that meaning can live outside the body. At dawn, you return to the stream. Your hand axe lies beside you, freshly chipped. You run your fingers along its edge. You test it on bark, on bone, on hide. It works. It will feed, defend, teach. But more than that, it will last. Your tools are no longer disposable. They are valuable. You keep them, pass them down, teach others to make them. With each tool, your past and future meet. You're no longer bound to the moment. You have created a thread, a way to carry ideas across time. You tend to the old, bury the dead. Sit quietly with the injured. Not always, not perfectly, but often enough that something changes. You see others not just as bodies, but as beings. You imagine. You begin to dream. Not just of food or fire, but of patterns, shapes, relationships. You see the way branches lean, the way stars move, the way stories could live in silence. Something stirs behind your brow. The world no longer just is. It means. You're not yet modern, but you're close. You're the gentle makers, the ones who chip stone into tools and silence into thought. Your memory in motion, kindness made flesh. And as the firelight dances across the trees, you understand deeply, wordlessly, that something new has begun. You do not need to name it. You only need to keep it alive. Chapter 13. Echoes in the Cave, 400,000 years ago. Emergence of early language. A hush falls over the entrance of the cavern. Flames flicker in your hand-carved torch, casting long, pulsing echoes on the dark walls. You pause at the threshold listening. No breeze, no birds. Just the slow drip of water in the distance, and beneath it, a deeper resonance. Something within you begins to stir. A thought, a sound, an urge to speak. Your Homo heidelbergensis, or perhaps early Homo sapiens, on the threshold of something nobody has fully named yet. Communication used to be grunt and gesture, babble and posture, but tonight the cave is different. This place, with its enclosed acoustics and shadowed walls, calls out for something new, meaningful sound. Your voice touches the stone and returns to you richer, deeper, more alive than anything you have heard before. You settle around a low fire, coals glowing amber in the widening darkness. Others join, men and women of your group, some carrying spears, others bearing tools or bundles of gathering. Children follow, drawn by curiosity and warmth. The group has come together for shelter, for safety, but also faintly for story. The fire sparks small smiles. Someone hums, softly at first, almost involuntary, a tone, a resonance that travels out and curls back around your chest. You hum again, pushing the sound into the cool stone air. Others join, one low murmur, two chords, a gentle harmony. It's not melody yet, not a song, but it is communal. In the flickering light, faces relax, tension eases. The echo makes it more than sound. A man raises his hand, palm toward the fire, a gesture, a wave, a greeting, a call to continue. He hums again, longer. A woman responds with a different tone. Slowly it shapes into a question, then a reply. The tone rises, falls. The sound is unwritten, but it carries meaning. Reassurance, belonging, curiosity. The cave becomes an instrument. You add a syllable, ma or ba, and the tones shift. Others echo back, ba ma ba. Maybe that's greeting, maybe it's comfort, maybe it's story, but it resonates. It lands against the walls and returns, transformed. Each echo introduces subtle changes. You adjust, learning the response. Tonight the stone walls are teaching you. You lean forward, catching the eye of the elder beside you. She grips your hand, pressing a carved wooden bone, a symbol or totem. The bone has notched marks. You realize they're counting. Maybe time, maybe names, maybe generations. You tap the bone twice against the stone. Click, click. Others follow. Click, click. A rhythm emerges. A child laughs softly and picks up a second bone. They tap twice, wait for the echo and tap again. The sound bounces, ripples, softens. They giggle, the group smiles. Humour is not new, but humour shared in sound is new. You're experimenting. Then the elder begins a story. Not with words you understand fully, but with gestures and sound. 2 sharp taps, 3 long notes, a rising tone, a low rumble. She traces shapes in the air near the cave wall. A mountain, a river, a fire, an animal. You see it in her movement. You hear it in her voice. You don't understand every nuance, but you feel direction. A journey. You grasp the outline. You respond. You tap twice, gesture upward, hum 3 pitches. You point at the flame, then at your chest. You try to say what the sound means, comfort, fire, life. You don't say fire, but you gesture and sound. She nods. The caverns echo. Your pulse rises. You have spoken. You have shared. Outside, the wind rages across stones and snow, but inside you're sheltered, not just physically, but mentally. The sounds form a circle around you. No longer lone individuals shouting in fear or triumph. You're weaving together memory and meaning in sound and space. This place is your cradle. A young woman stands and steps forward. She picks up a flute, small, carved from bone with 3 finger holes. It's been silent until now. She breathes and a clear note rings out, pure, sharp, alive. The sound reverberates high in the cavern. There is a pause, then harmonics fill in. 2 voices humming, one low, one high. The flute sings softly. Some of the men join the sound. Others rhythmically tap stones, a camp-born beat. Tum, tum, tum. The flute lifts above it, a spontaneous ensemble, not rehearsed, just alive. The sound loops back, layers, rhythm growing, melody emerging. A lullaby, a celebration, a prayer, all 3. You feel warmth well within you, connection, belief. You aren't sure what you believe in, but you feel it. Your voice blends with the group. You aren't defined by biology any longer, but by communion. Midway through, the eld stands again and approaches the wall. She spreads her palm flat, fingers splayed. With chalk made from crushed stone, she traces the shape of a deer. Long legs, curved antlers. You recognize it instantly. You all do. That animal is central to your survival. Now it lives in song, in echo, in paint. Someone kneels and paints a handprint beside it, a mark of presence, of time. I was here, I sang, I believed. The sounds continue, soft now, fading towards silence. The group listens to the wind echo through the cave mouth. Outside, the night is half lit by stars and snow. Afterward, there's a calm, a sense of something accomplished. The group moves to rest, but you linger. You touch the deer painting, feel the cold stone, see where your voice once bounced. You whisper a short murmur, "Bama," and hear it echo back, softer now, but still alive. Memory remains. A child watches you, eyes wide as firelight catches. You lean down and place your finger next to the deer, next to the child's handprint. You nod. We were here together. The child smiles. The next morning opens clear and cold. A thin frost sparkles across the ground. You wake in a shelter of stones and hides, the echo of last night still ringing in your head. You smell food cooking, dried fruits, meat, roots. You smell pitchy smoke from the fire pit. You smell strangers stirring. You realize something fundamental has changed. Your group is no longer merely a surviving unit. It is a memory-sharing, belief-building collective. You've woven sound into stone, story into space. You're beginning to understand that life can be shaped not just by what you see or eat, but by what you say, sing, and remember. Throughout the day, you speak differently. You hum to the children. You tap patterns to signal tools. You repeat the short phrase, "Bama," when someone offers food. It becomes greeting, it becomes thanks. You patent it as community. You extend it across the firelight. Over the following weeks, you return to the cave often. There's no formal gathering, but sometimes a hum escapes you while you carve wood. A tap echoes through your camp in the morning. You teach others to use gesture and sound together. Tilt head for danger, raise hand for gather, lower voice for hunger. You refine. Your world grows richer. Meaning is no longer silent, it is audible. You begin to map emotions to pitch. Fear is low and drawn out. Joy high and staccato. You begin to group gestures into sequences. Wave left, point right, hum tone. It has structure. Syntax? Not yet, but not far off. The cave echoes hold lessons about shape and rhythm, about time and space, about connection. You treat the cave with respect. You reuse the pigments and marks. You keep fire away from the paintings. You replace the chalk deer mark with another, a second hand, another presence, continuity. Over months you observe change. Hunters pause to hum a low note before a dangerous climb. Mothers hum songs to soothe infants. Teenagers tap sticks to carve shapes into bone. You hear drumming vibrations echoing across simple shelters. You test the flute again, now with 4 holes, a longer warble. It plays valley and ridge in a single breath. You improvise a short melody, 3 notes, then return. You teach it to one person. Finally, a group hums along. One voice solo, others echo, a proto-chorus. A new sharing forms, Bamarama. It becomes comfort, belonging, invitation. You realize it can have multiple uses. It increases, Bamaramamaba. It lengthens, it conveys nuance. Tone becomes essential. Speed matters, pitch matters. Sounds become symbols. The sounds themselves transform. You're speaking what can't be directly pointed at. Memory, emotion, contemplation. An animal you saw months ago, the shape of the mountains, the story of how a man fell from a rock and was carried on a hide. You retell it with gestures, first solemn line, then laughter, then hush. People listen. They nod. They pick up a syllable, a gesture, a repetition. The story remains alive. Evening expands now. The firelight stays lit longer. You deliberately gather wood. You prolong the sound. You build a small altar of stones. Around it, the group performs a ritual of storytelling. It might be gratitude. It might be warning. It might be myth. Though you don't call it that. It is the act of remembering together. Your language is not formal. It is partial. It is image and echo. But it is language. Seasons pass. Children who learned on the cave walls now speak two-note phrases as greetings. Some start combining gestures. Bama, food. Bama, warm. Bama, safe. Others attempt more. Bama from a skid. The cave responds with echo. You teach, you refine. The community grows. You do not fully understand how remarkable it is, or maybe you do. You know that sound and meaning now weave through you, that your hand-carved flute and notched bone are not just tools, they are communicators, that you've begun to create a culture rooted in echo, gesture, story. One day, an outcast returns, a wanderer from another group. He pauses at the cave entrance, stepping into your circle. You hum. He hums back, melody altered by travel. You recognize the shape. You nod. You step aside. He joins the circle. You're humming around the fire together. Then he adds a gesture, one hand above his head. You recognize water. You smile. You add a gesture asking about his journey. He hums a low-toned story of mountains and rivers, of wind and cold. You listen. Others listen. The cave amplifies the sound. It wraps him. It receives. You understand. You're talking across distance, not just physical but cognitive. You're welcoming the other into your world. Language apprenticeship has begun. You reach out a hand. He takes it. A new echo in the cave. Darkness deepens. Fire dims. Yet the echo remains. These sounds, gestures, tools, paintings, they are now tradition. They will live beyond your life. Your children's children will return to these walls. They will retrace the deer. They will hum the melody. They will understand the sequence of gestures with less effort. They will shape words from the syllables. They will write stories. They will name them, myth, memory. But for tonight the only names are echo and presence, the only words unwritten Bamarama, the only gesture universal a raised palm. They mean, I am here, I belong, we remember. You lie by the dying fire listening to what remains. You don't know how far you've come, but the echoes in the cave do. They hold your first words, your first music, your first story. They will wait. For hundreds, thousands of years they will wait. Because tonight humanity found a voice. And the echo was answered. Chapter 14. The Neanderthal's Path. 300,000 years ago. Homo neanderthalensis. The dawn breaks in pale greys and soft blues. The valley's mist lifting from frozen ground like a pale curtain. You wake to the heavy scent of damp wood and hearth smoke, lingering from last night's fire, now still glowing faintly in the rock hearth at the centre of your cave. You're Homo neanderthalensis, and the world you inhabit is carved from ice and stone, yet close, familiar, and intensely alive. Morning listening. You stretch, easing frozen stiffness from your muscles. Cold and warmth have sculpted your body into power and endurance. Broad shoulders, strong legs, barrel chest. You step onto the hearthstone, the ember beneath your foot crackles, sending spirals of ash into the cavern. It smells of pine resin and smoke. You smell it, inhale it deeply, grounding yourself in this cavern smellscape of memory and belonging. Outside, a low morning light filters through the cave entrance. You raise a hand to shield your eyes, scanning the horizon as your group awakens. There are 8 of you now. Kin, allies, companions, each with a role, each a presence in your life. You move among them, exchanging soft touches. Your fingers close over a young woman's forearm. She exhales, offering comfort. The intimacy is silent, but everything is communicated. Stone tools lie ready, hand axes shaped in the night by strong hands. They echo your shape and power. Every curve fits the palm naturally. Every edge is both weapon and implement. They are yours. You hold them with familiarity. They were forged slowly over repeated flicks of stone. Each carries a history of use, skin scraped, wood carved, minds shaped. The fire flares as a log is fed, light sweeping across walls decorated with faint polychrome lines. A hunting scene. Auroch, elk, bison entwined in swift motion. You painted it weeks ago but returned tonight to refresh the ochre. Art is ritual. It embodies memory and identity. It reflects your reliance on the world and your part in its tapestry. Each stroke recalls a hunt, a story, a laughter-filled evening. Tracking and gathering. Soon the group assembles for the day's movement. It is early spring. The snow has melted in parts, but ice still covers streams. You huddle briefly, listening. A new group of reindeer grazed near the rock ledge last night. Your scouts observed. They are the target. Meat for protein, hides for warmth, bones for tools. You move in silence, shifting through melting snow and birch forest. Your movements are deliberate, tested. You know every step. You feel earth, ice, sound. Your nose picks up the muskiness of thawing vegetation. A faint hoofprint appears. You kneel, studying its shape. A reindeer mate travelling in a pair. They forage ahead, slow and sure. You exchange glances with the lead hunter. A subtle nod. You split. Some approach from the left, crests of snow-laden hills. Others approach from the right, crouched low in frost-kissed ferns. You are the signal. Spear poised, stone blade ready to strike. But you wait. You can still afford to be silent. The animals eat, unaware. When the hunters are in position, a branch snapping breaks the hush. Your heart leaps. The reindeer bolt. They sprint in two directions. You pursue one that breaks left. A younger male, slower, predictable. He staggers in exhaustion, the steep incline against him. You hold back, waiting. Your body temperature holds steady. The air is thin and cold, but your chest expands gently, lungs full of resilience. Then, the moment. He falters. His flank opens. The spear strikes. You rush. Hands hold him down. You drive a second spear once more into his flank. The life drains out. He exhales, softly. The hunt is complete. All rise around you. You stand shoulder near shoulder as a group. Together, you care for one another. Blood-streaked hands, pulling skin. Others run to the hearth to collect hot embers. A woven fur blanket is spread over a stump near the hearth. It will be needed soon. Processing the kill. Back at the cave, the glow is flickering when the group enters with the burden of meat and marrow. The fire is fed and stoked before any words pass. Hides are stripped, meat cut into strips. But it is more than duty. It is a ritual, ensuring that every cell of this animal gifts life to your people. None is wasted. Bones are broken. Marrow is extracted. Warm, oily, savoury. It feeds your body. It feeds your mind. As children lick the marrow, older ones carve wood and bone for sharps and awls. You sit near the flames and watch. The flickers of flame bring shadows alive on the walls. You see another painting emerging, a reindeer, a nod to the animal that gave its life. Perhaps it will be a story of the hunt. Perhaps a rite of gratitude. The act of painting tonight is a group effort. A woman dyeing bark ochre gently presses it to the snarled antler. You lean in to press the flake deeper into stone. More pigment seeps. The story flows. Tonight, this cave will hold another chapter of your lives. You will hum a low tune, fragment of rhythm born when marrow fueled muscle in the hunt. Maybe a melody formed in the tension of the chase. You sing in low cadence, a bass hum echoing the rock. Others join, sung syllables teeming with memory. 2, 3, maybe 4 notes. Not words, but meaning. You feel it rather than understand it. The evening develops into ritual. Children squirm near the fire. You smile and lift them onto laps. You turn toward the paintings, telling the tale of the hunt with broad gestures and low tones. The children grasp your cloak. They lean in. The elders nod in approval. You see the cycle complete. Hunt, meet, story, bond, identity. Over nights like these, your people deepen their presence in the world. Deep connections. As the fire dwindles, you stand near the cavern entrance. Twin sisters, twins you celebrated them days ago, sit shoulder to shoulder, scraping marrow from bone. Their breathing is synchronized. They climb onto your shoulders. You do not complain. They grip your fur. You look beyond the cave mouth. The stars flicker above pine silhouettes. A breeze sweeps in, carrying the distant call of wolves, low and haunting. Yet the firelight still holds them back. You raise your hand toward the sky, draw lines in the air with your finger. Constellation? Maybe. A landmark. A memory. Something named, but not yet spoken. The sisters mimic. They laugh shyly. One brushes her hand along the nearby red ochre painting. She presses her palm into the rock. You press yours next to it. A ritual of belonging. Then she presses again as the twin echoes. 2 hands, 2 beings, 2 echoes in stone. Your gaze turns to the eldest, her hair silvering, her eyes deep with memory. She places a fur-wrapped bundle at your feet. Inside, infants are sleeping, another generation born, nurtured, carried within your society. Your hands come to rest on the bundle. You realize that the Neanderthal world is vast within ourselves. Memory, art, story, song, touch, compassion. Nights rest. Night deepens. The fire dies to embers. You arrange stones around it so the glow survives till dawn. You lean against a rock and wrap hide around your legs. Your body aches in places, shoulders, knees, chest, old wounds and healed scars, but your heart feels full and your chest feels proud. You close your eyes. In the darkness you remember the hunt, the weight of the spear, the sound of pursuit, the unity of the group. You feel the marrow in your body, fuel for mind and soul. You hear children singing earlier, fragmented syllables that spoke of the hunt. You feel your hand on the rock, the cave's pulse beneath it. That pulse feels like inheritance. You're not alone. The night sky shifts as dreams come. You dream of fire-painted caves of cold ice and darker stone. You dream of valleys, of hunts, of stories. You dream of a daughter, maybe. You dream of what she will become, how she will hunt, paint, sing, love. She will learn through mimicry, through memory, through compassion. She will grow within this community, this world made of hearth and stone. Dawn again. Before the first glow of dawn, you wake. The cave is silent. Moonlight spills pale through the entrance. Embers flicker faintly. You rise. You stoke the fire with a few logs, and the warm smell rises to greet the awakening. You step outside. The world is still in frost, but brighter. Your eyes scan familiar land, snow-mottled valley. Ahead, woodland stretches. You can sense movement, tracks crossing the snow. You squat and mark them with a twig. Adult footsteps. Maybe the feeding herd has moved again. Maybe a rival group has passed. You record it. You remember. You return slowly to the camp and find a bowl of hot broth. Roots boiled with marrow fat. You drink. You whistle a low tune, a sonata, simple but soulful. Around you others come, yawning smiles forming on sleeping lips. You whisper down, "We live." It is wordless, but meaning is strong. Your spear, your breath, your hearth, they endure. So do your stories, your paintings, your songs. These are the trails you leave, the path that binds you to your ancestors and to your children's children. For you, the world is cold, it is raw, and yet it is gentle and deep with connection. You are the Neanderthal, a creature shaped by ice and compassion, forged in fire and blood, gifted with memory and understanding. You walk a path that is not just survival, but resonance. This is your life. This is your path, and your echoes will endure. Chapter 15, A Different Earth. 200,000 years ago. The birth of Homo sapiens. A gentle tremor ripples through your mother's body, not pain, but change. The sun brightens the entrance to the cave as she draws you towards her chest. Her warmth is immediate, deep, and safe. This moment is your first memory, skin to skin, breath to breath, heartbeat to heartbeat. You do not know your place yet, but your modern human Homo sapiens has been born. First light, first sights. Your eyes open in a world both familiar and subtly different. You smell smoke from the morning fire. You hear low humming voices and soft laughter. The air tastes of roasted roots, warmed hide, and morning freshness. The cave's walls are no longer practical shelters, but canvases layered in ochre, charcoal, and red pigment. Scenes of prey, people, patterns, perhaps even an early star map. Symbols flow across stone. You don't know their meaning. You only sense their purpose: to remember, to belong. Nearby, elders sit cross-legged. One holds a small, smooth stone, the first engraved with deliberate patterns, a spiral, a dot, a line, a memory in physical form. You track its movement with your gaze, tap-tap on bone table. The beat is steady, pulsing. Not quite rhythm, but intention. You lean forward and tap too. A soft response hums from the elder. You have connected. This is language in motion. Growing up thoughtfully. Your name today, breath shared, bones pressed, sound shaped into a word that will echo across years. The group's voices blend, tone, intonation, gesture. The name emerges like a melody. You feel it resonate in your chest. You are part of this group. You belong. As a toddler, you learn not just by mimicry, but by asking. You point at the fire. You grunt. Someone smiles, responds, shapes your babble into a word. You repeat it. The word becomes part of you. It becomes part of the world. Language is no longer gesture and echo. It is symbol and understanding. You walk into the light many times a day. You hear the wind in tall grass, nicking stones underfoot. You see forest edges, seasonal streams, bison herds at a distance. You smell berries, hear bird calls, track insect swarms. Every detail is new and named. Someone explains a calling pattern, a food season, a safe path. You collect these, they become part of your memory. Your hands are small but purposeful. You shape clay into beads, you carve bone into pendants, you flake stone into blades with surprising precision. Someone places a bead in your palm, centered. It is yours. A gift, a story. You feel pride. Connection to others. Your group is not just survival-driven, it is art-driven, ceremony-driven. You gather under a canopy of pine and someone begins a low song, mouth open, breath steady. You join, voice steady, melody emerging. You don't know the tune. You only know that the world seems softer, richer. You hum and echo in others' voices. A chorus forms. It doesn't need words, it needs presence. Later, during a modest feast, someone raises a cup of hide filled with herbal broth. They turn to you and nod. You understand that respect for food, that gratitude for what the land and ancestors provide, is part of what it means to be human. You mimic their posture, pass the cup to a friend. Something gentle ripples between you. A recognition. We are part of this world together. Questioning, imagining. By adolescence, your mind reaches outward. You ask why. Why do seasons change? Why is the sky bright? Why do people speak differently in distant lands? Some questions are answered with metaphor, story, ritual. You watch as storytellers mime shapes with hands and voice. They paint these shapes into the night, the sun, the moon, the hunt, the ancestors. You listen. You imagine. You feel the weight of history and possibility mingling. You walk beyond the camp, through birch forest into rolling hills. You carry a flint blade, but also a small carve for art. You encounter shells on a riverbank, oyster shells, perforated with small holes. They are not food, they are beads, necklaces. Someone from a distant group traded them for tusk or fur. Trade and exchange are no longer just survival. Now they are communication, connection, trust. You collect a shell. It is smooth, punctured by humans long ago. When you return, you place it in your tent between stones and wood. It has meaning, story, origin. It reminds you that your group is part of a larger network, a web of humans spreading across continents. You feel your small role in that. First migration of mind. When you are 16, you begin travelling beyond your birthplace. You walk to another group's territory, moving through forests and plains. You see them at a distance, different face shapes, coloured fur, accent on words. You pause, uncertain. An elder gestures, a sign of peace. They hum a welcoming tone. You hum back. The melody is almost identical. The difference is accent, timbre, but it's the same song. They offer food and water. They offer hospitality. You trade a small carving of antler for a hide cloak. You trade names, greetings, stories. You sit together around a new fire. Someone plays a flute from bone. You share a melody. You feel kinship. You realize you are part of humanity, part of something far larger than your family, your tribe, your homeland. Beyond survival, you're 20 when you hunt mammoth for the first time. Scale beyond anything before. You do not charge forward adrenaline bright. You plan, you trap. You barter meat for fur, for bone, for memory. You build a shelter out of rib bones and hides, something monumental, human-made. It shapes space and symbol. At the bonfire afterward, you share narrative. We came this far. We worked together. We built this. You gesture. Stones clatter in the fire pit. Sparks rise. Someone draws symbols, zigzag trace along a tusk. Others hum Bama. You feel warmth in your chest. Connection across time and space. A changing world. Over the next decades you will walk further, learn harder, imagine deeper. You will find caves in distant mountains. You will paint animals, horses, rhinoceros, bison. You will whisper incantations, something beyond literal into mystical. You will hold rituals, gestures and words shaped into prayers. You will bury your dead with care. You will mourn. You will celebrate. You will build shelters of stone that cannot be moved and mark them with your stories. Your life is not only survival, it is transformation. You are modern human. Your body is lean, your brain vast, your hands skilled, but your greatest evolution lies within. Language, imagination, art, connection, empathy. You carry both instincts and questions. You build tools and stories. You treasure memory. You hold small objects dear and call them beloved. You weave songs and symbols together. You trade ideas as eagerly as you trade goods. In the quiet moment before dawn, you stand at the cave's entrance. The air smells like snow and grass, like rain-warmed earth. You place your hand on the engraved stone. You trace the spiral, a symbol of time, journey, life. You hum, you listen. The world listens back. You inhale fully and step forward, because you are human. And tomorrow you will dream bigger still. Shadows and symbols. 100,000 years ago, cave paintings, art. In dim shadow of the cave's mouth, the polished surface of the wall gleams softly, as though expecting your hand. You settle on your knees, feeling the earth shift beneath you, damp and cool. The shadows grasp at your shoulders, and the rhythm of the fire behind you makes the wall seem to breathe. You dip your fingers into ochre dust, the pigment clinging to your skin staining your palm. You draw a slow, deliberate line against the stone, curved, arching, deliberate. It becomes the leg of a horse. You breathe, steady, listening. The rock listens too. Your light comes not from flame above, but from a stick planted at your side, its ember flickering into coils of smoke that drift across your vision and soften the cave walls. You draw repeatedly, adjusting the slope of the neck, the curve of the belly, the way the leg connects with the ground. You draw as your mother once taught you by tracing lines in the dust, by guiding your hand with hers as she drew the first crude image of an ibex beside a fire simple and unadorned. You draw now in homage, in prayer, in hope. Each stroke is deliberate. Each requires attention, patience. There is no hurry. You trace the shape of the horse again, building depth, thickness, nuance. You dust on thicker pigment at the mane and shoulders, pressing more firmly to imply movement, muscle. You step away, uncurling your legs, and the flicker of the flame changes the shape on the wall. In that instant, motion, alive. You lean forward again, adding spears in the background. 3, pointing toward the beast's flank, scenes of action, hunt. They're not static, they're narrative. Behind you, the cairn of stones marks a boundary, your space, your work. Others observe. A younger sibling, a woman with softened eyes who laid out the ochre that morning, an elder tracing the ridge of the cave entrance. No sound is made. But something thickens in the air, a weight not of rock but of meaning. You're making something other than pictures. You're mapping ideas, memory, identity, ritual. You're drawing fragments of thought in pigment. When you pause, an echo returns. You listen. You trace your fingers over the image, feeling its contours. In your mind, the horse turns, rears, and gallops. You realize you can share this vision with those who come after. In centuries, millennia, others will look upon this image and understand, here was this creature. Here was its meaning. Here was the dance between human and world that gave them life. To your right, the elder stands with a delicate bone brush, a shaft dipped in black manganese. With a handful of short strokes, they accentuate the leg of the horse, adding shadow where firelight cannot reach. The effect is enough to give three-dimensionality, muscle and bone, shadow and light now coexisting on stone. It is art, but also thought, a recognition. This wall can hold depth, space, narrative. The elder steps back and hums softly. It is not a tune, but an affirmation, a wordless blessing. You smile and drop a handful of pigment in front of them. They take it with calloused fingers and dust their own gesture, a simple spiral at the horse's flank. That spiral has meaning. It speaks not in language, but your shared tongue. Cycle, journey, connection, eternal motion. The spiral marks not only your own life, but your ancestors, your descendants, a thread. You hear a footstep behind you. Your sibling comes forward, offering more elk fat smeared across a small mammoth bone bowl to help set the pigment into the rough stone. You accept it with a nod, hand steady. The act feels ceremonious, ritualistic, but you call it art. You call it remembering. You call it necessary. Your lines dry, darken. The fire sinks lower, its crackles bare in the silence of collective concentration. You watch wings of soot gather overhead. You watch the painting become one with the cave. It waits, untouched, eternal. Yet it is transient. So is life. You breathe again, close your eyes, taste a memory. When you speak, you say little. Ibex, the elder whispers. Horse, you reply, pointing to the curve. Language returns, not as words, but as recognition. This is what you call it. This is what it was. The elder nods. Yes. A narrative formed, onto stone. Your painting takes shape now. You add more details, the curve of the flank, the tension of muscles, the flare of nostrils. You draw the ground beneath the horse in parallel lines, speed, turf, earth. You draw shadows beneath its hooves. You draw motion, not just the creature, but the journey between hunter and hunted, human and animal, world and memory. The cave's mouth opens to twilight. You hear wolves in the distance, mournful, haunting, the stir of wind at the entrance. Another reason why this art matters. Not only at night, but in storm and thaw, in cold and heat this narrative holds. Others can return to it. They can stand before the horse and know, Here is a story. Here is connection. Here is us. The elder leans forward, placing 2 fingers near the horse's gaze, marking an eye, a pupil, a sense of looking, of witnessing. The horse no longer lives in the open plain. It lives here, inside your shared mind, living in pigment, shadow, story. When you finish, as the embers die, you step back. See dozens of stones, small trophies placed in offering, small gifts left by others who came before. A flint awl that once carved leather, a piece of carved bone, a painted shell. Art begets art. Memory becomes space. Symbols become stories. This wall is now more than stone. It is repository, library, temple, cave. You dip your hand slowly in water, wash off pigment. Your palm returns to ochre tint. You smile at the elder. You nod toward the spiral. They nod back, without words, understanding. The last embers fade. You sit with others in silent communion, sores of pigment on your hands, the only evidence of what has happened, a nucleus of memory shared between you. You remain in the cave until morning, holding vigil, humming a soft tone like Bama Ram, the song of the line. You're not alone. By dawn the painting will need touching, but tonight it waits. You rise before first light. You step away from the wall, paint drying and warm beneath your hand. You breathe cold air in the entrance. You trace the shape of the horse one last time in shadow. You say nothing. Because here, in this quiet, wordless moment, the story lives on its own. Stone memory, pigment echo. You have borne it into being. The last friends. 40,000 years ago, disappearance of Neanderthals. You meet, live next to, and lose other human species. In the cold dawn, your breath unravels in visible spirals above the charred entrance of your shelter. The ground is stiff with frost and the sky is pale purple. You're Homo sapiens, and this land was shared with relatives older than your kind Neanderthals. But now, silence hangs heavy where their voices once echoed. You walk out early, bone blade strapped across your side. You pause at the edge of the camp. There, across the open stretch of birch and pine, you glimpse a figure wrapped in thick furs, a Neanderthal, tall, strong, familiar, an old friend. You step forward slowly, your heart pounding, your pulse tells you who matters. They raise an arm in greeting, slow and deliberate, a final gesture of kinship. You return the gesture and your lips form the word they taught you long ago. Bama, it's a token, not a conversation, an acknowledgement of shared life, a phrase that once meant friend now echoing on the wind. You approach the figure at the edge of the clearing. Their breath is soft clouds, their eyes kind but sad. Children from your group stand behind you, curious but taught to remain still. They watch, wide-eyed, as you step closer. The elder Neanderthal lowers their hood, revealing lined skin, high brows, deep cheeks, and ancient sorrow. You kneel. You offer them a flint blade carved yesterday, a gift. It is a small token of respect, a practical tool, but also a sign of goodwill. The Neanderthal hesitates, touches the blade, knows its purpose. They nod once, slowly, then they press their palm to yours, flesh to flesh through pigment-stained skin. You feel their warmth and their essence closing around yours. Birds flutter above. A grey light spreads across the land. Time seems to stall. There's no rush, no hunters tracking, no storms gathering, just 2 people, human by very different emergence, holding a moment fragile and profound. You help them stand. They touch your shoulder as if blessing you. Then they turn, step back, and move toward the woods. Your gaze follows. Their movement is calm, deliberate, determined. They lift their light spear, once shared in hunts, now held as marker of difference. They place it gently in the ground beside the shelter. Later, your group gathers. You say no words. Motion and understanding suffuse the air. Some of your kin lay bundles of meat and dried fruit near the spear. Others still the embers of the fire that warmed Neanderthal bones last night. You speak names for them. Beju, Marakil, Slesh. Voices now only for memory. At dusk, as your light fades over pines and snow, you share a meal built from those gifts. A stew simmers with roots and fat. You speak in gentle tone Bama Ramama, a phrase your ancestors used, meaning this is peace, this is sharing, this is memory. The phrase murmurs around the fire, embers turning to ash, thought turning to lineage. No story is spoken aloud. Instead, the cave fills with humming, a collection of flutes low and distant, rhythms tapping out reassurance. Children lean against each other. Elders slow their breathing. All existence fills this ancient vibration. For a moment, your ancestors in memory, not adversaries in future. Morning comes. The wolf's howl drifts across the clearing, urging you to move onward. You stand and gather your tools, a bone flute painted with spiral that once marked belonging, a knife, a flint core, and you carry inside you the palms that pressed yours, the eyes that held your gaze, the friendship you shared. Behind you stands a faint silhouette in the woods. They do not wave goodbye. They do not call your name. Perhaps they cannot. Perhaps there is no need. The bond lives now, not in speech but in memory written on walls of bone and cave, trodden paths, scarred earth. Your footfalls carry you east toward new lands. Over seasons, over centuries, your group will grow and spread, but you will carry the story of your last friend. You will tell it to your children, to their children. You will say, for a time, two kinds of human lived side by side. You will trace your hand in the air, form a spiral, the ancient sign of connection. The last Neanderthal will not survive long. Genetic echoes in your own blood remain, threads woven in without knowing. But their culture, their songs, their compassion, they fade, leaving you both richer and poorer. In the hush of dawn, amid pines and frost, your pulse still remembers. Bama. You whisper their name. You raise your hand to the rising sun and echo their presence. The wind carries your breath forward and beyond, into the land that becomes earth as you remember it. Chapter 18. Over land and sea, 20,000 years ago. Migrations to Australia and the Americas. The sun first touches the horizon in waves of gold and rose, and with its light comes your breath. You kneel at the water's edge, the cool sea foam brushing your feet. It is early. No wind, no birds, no human voice beyond your own heartbeat. But the world here is speaking to you. Through the rhythm of waves, the call of distant reefs, the scent of salt carried by the breeze. You rise, gather your tools, and step forward. Long ago, humankind began in Africa, walked across plains, through forests, into cold and mountain snows. Tonight your forebears walk again, across ice sheets, across deserts, across seas, and gather here at the edge of the world. You are the child of those journeys. You are Homo sapiens on the brink of new worlds. You've spent many moons on the mainland. Your community has grown from small bands into greater tribes, some numbering dozens, occasionally hundreds. Your people carry tools that click and scrape with precision. Stone blades flake off in whispers. Bone harpoons hiss through water, catching salmon in cool rivers. Shells ripple with pigment, carved into necklaces that sing of ancient lands and journeys across stone and ice. Your heart beats steady with longing. Because words have begun to shape the future, you will walk. Not just where you live, but who you are. Because the places beyond the sea are waiting farther than anyone has ever gone. Preparing for the voyage. You walk inland now, gathering with the rest of your people in a shelter of driftwood and stone. The ground is sandy and windswept, strewn with shells and bleached bones. You sit before a low fire and hum a soft tune. Others join in. You carve a new implement, a paddle made of hardwood, carved smooth and splinterless. 2 nights ago, a man brought a bundle of reed-like rods he calls the fish reeds from the other side of the river. They'll form part of the platform for a boat raft. Others gather animal hide stretched and tanned to seal seams. A child watches from the entrance. You lift your hand and trace a circle in the air. They mimic it. Circle, paddle shape, wave, simple, but charged with meaning. A plan spoken not in words but in gesture, pitch, shape. By the firelight you arrange the tools. Paddles, harpoons, cords of sinew, fire sticks, dried fish and roots. You place them in order as if telling a story. One by one, men and women touch them, not to use now, but to remember their purpose. The next day they will untie the cords, balance the reeds, lash the raft to life. Tonight the raft is still a promise. It is hope. The Pacific Crossing, Australia. Under a moon like an old ember, you step onto the sand and guide the raft into water. It bobs, gentle, obedient. Others steady it from behind. You push off with 2 paddles, narrow strokes quiet as whales. The sea breathes around you as waves crest then fall, as stars reflect like coral dreams across the surface. Silence cloaks you. The raft carries 15 souls, hunters, gatherers, the old, the young. You carry fire, embers safe beneath hide. You carry dreams, notes of survival, seashells dipped in ochre, small medicine bags, painted stone of a turtle. When the rafts drift, currents carry. The wind shifts. You steer by star. You hum in rhythm with the sea, a melody passed down. Bara, mara. Others hum back, softer, higher, a harmony blending with the foam. 3 days pass before land shimmers on the horizon, low but solid. It is not the island of memory, but another place entirely. You pull the raft ashore, full of salt, full of warmth. You place the fire embers on the sand, you sing, a simple wordless whisper of Bama Bama, a greeting to this new realm. You step onto new ground, Australia. Breathe eucalyptus and unfamiliar dust. You wander inland. You find kangaroo footprints. You hunt with harpoons and spears, tools passed from your people to new land. You discover plants you do not yet name. You learn their colour, taste, season. You cast oyster shells into necklaces, memory tokens. Over the next moons, your people scatter along the coast. You build rock shelters with painted hands. You carve turtle shapes on rock faces. You add them to a narrative begun on other shores, a story of arrival, of connection, of place. Across ice and time. The Americas. Another group on the other side of the old world stands at the edge of another beginning. They journeyed north across land bridges, vast plains exposed by falling sea. They walked with the mammoths, elk, caribou, following their herds, following seasons, following stars. Tonight they gather in a canyon. A fire flickers in stone, they pass bone flutes, they sing breathing lilts heard in other continents but shaped by local winds. Mabara. They trade shells from the sea, bird feathers for warmth, bones carved into harpoon tips. In this new world they meet animals that challenge them, smaller, faster. The hunting strategy shifts, ambush, persistence, coaxing. They learn to make sinew nets of animal gut to catch fish. They learn to endure cold summers, then unbearable death of winter. They develop layered clothing, hide plus grass plus seal oil overcoats that shine. They leave trail signs, painted handprints on canyon walls. They carve bison with sweeping curves into cliff faces. With each pigment stroke they say, "We were here not conqueror, but witness, not masters, but guests." Shared humanity. Though thousands of miles apart, your journey and theirs echo together. In Australia, a healer uses stones painted for ritual. In Alaska, a sky caller marks winter solstice with rhythmic chant. In both places the fire burns. In both places children trace their fingers over pigments. In both places elders hum the tune that links centuries. You hear the rustle of a painting under your knuckles, The spiral, the handprint, the turtle. Your paint-stained palm presses gently against the wall. You remember crossing waves. You remember the star-humming voyage. You remember seeing dunes drift and coral reefs glimpsed under canoe. You walk inland through eucalyptus forests. You carry a carved flute on your hip. You hum, and someone hears. They hum. The melody seems old as stars, but new in timbre, in tone, in intimacy, a language shared across land and sea. Camera of time. Seasons come and go. You and your people learn land's whispers, tidal cycles, moonfish, bird migrations. You adapt yams and honey ants. You shift hunting paths. You learn more, that stone flows like water when ground, that pigments feed people with beauty and memory. In the Americas, these steps replay. Each group learns, each group adapts, each group paints, bison, bear, waterfall. Each group sings, notes to recall the forgotten journey to bind community. In your coastal camp at 20,000 years ago, someone constructs a frame of reeds and driftwood. They lash hides over it. They build a kayak, narrow, pointed, smooth. They carve the prow into the shape of a bird. They paddle to reefs and harvest shellfish, turtles. They cross bays for new land. They extend settlement beyond the trees. They connect islands with rising tides, but spirit unbroken. Legacy of footprints. By dawn on some distant cliff, a handprint presses into soft pigment, a child's index, middle, ring finger. It dries in pale light. The child at 10 years becomes elder by 20. The handprint remains. By dawn at canyon rim, another hand rests on painted bison. A passerby touches it, hums softly. Burma a gift. The world is bigger now. No human land untouched. For the first time, your people walked over it all. From ice to desert to coral jungle, you filled space with footprints, tools, shelter, fire pits, stories. But you also fill it with thought, symbols, painting, song, story, ceremony. You arrived as wanderer. You stay as witness, caretaker, memory holder, artist, knower. We are here. 20,000 years ago you stand on new grounds, Australia's red dust, North America's frozen plains, coastlines lined with kelp. Other footsteps join yours, mammoth, kangaroo, caribou, bison, human. All make tracks, some scatter in wind, others persevere. Your life now is not about starting, it is about continuing. Not about discovering the world, it is about creating culture, belonging, identity. Each group, preparing meals by the fire, teaching the child flute rhythm, painting handprints, singing ritual tunes, naming animals, marking seasons, weaving nets, building boats. Continuation into tomorrow. You walk away from the beach where you arrived. The tide laps at your feet. You hum once more to the waves. You turn inland. A breeze carries the scent of eucalyptus. You smile. You carry the raft puffs, bearers of arrival. Somewhere else, another descendant hums to stars above the canyon. They too carry the shell, the bone flute, the bead necklace, the tools of curiosity, artistry, belonging. In the language of stars, seas, stone, and breath. Your voice and theirs and yours again speak Bama Bama Baram. We came, we built, we belong. You will walk further still as others will, but tonight you stand whole across land and sea, connected by journey, curiosity, resilience, memory. You stand a witness to your own becoming and to the becoming of Earth as human planet. You step forward, the next horizon waits. Chapter 19. The Silence Before the Storm, 10,000 years ago, before agriculture. You awaken before first light, lying on a platform of woven grasses and deer hides. High among the sturdy branches of an oak you help select and build into. The air is cold but still. The wind rests its breath. As dawn's pale glow filters through the canopy, your body rises naturally, your muscles familiar with the motion. You stretch, cradle your spear beside your head, then slide down the tree trunk with gentle ease, toes splaying to find friction on bark. Ground meets your foot, dew damp beneath your thick hide moccasins, and the forest is motionless, an entire world holding its breath. You pause at the forest's edge, spear balanced in your hand, breath cogent with quiet purpose. Here, the land you know best breathes as it always does. Birch and willow, grass, lichen on stone. Still, the air feels different today, pregnant with an unspoken shift. The herds you track, deer, boar, goose, call to your blood as always. You will hunt them. You will gather wild barley, roots, berries, truffles. You will honour the earth with each step, but somewhere deep in your bones you feel a pressure, an inkling that the gentle order of your days is waning, that something new is soon to arrive. In a low hollow a few paces beyond the trees, a shallow fire pit waits where someone, your partner, ignites embers with careful breaths. You kneel and cup the coals, feeling the glow, inhaling the familiar peaked scent of smoke and burnt grass. You add small twigs to coax flame, and soon heat pulls your hide coat like a silent embrace. You sip last night's porridge, water sweetened with wild fruits and ground acorns, and share it with a dog curled at your feet, its head resting on your leg, eyes blinking at the new day. The dogs have been with your people as long as you can remember, tracking scent, carrying messages, guarding children. You scratch the dog's flank and it sighs. Even this gesture, small, feels an act of sanctity. As flame strengthens, you stand and look toward the tall grasses on the far side of the meadow, where small birds dart in search of seed. The landscape is yours. Migratory patterns, seasonal cycles, sacred springs, hidden wooden coves. But this is also your final stretch of life before the world transforms. Every person you meet today, gatherer, weaver, firekeeper, holds something unspoken, a mixture of confidence in time, tested ways, and an uneasy curiosity at the stirrings of new knowledge, new practices. You leave your partner stirring the cooking lodge behind the oak. With spear and small bundle of dried meat and berries on your belt, you step, knowing how the forest opens. First the bones of red-tailed deer, then tall flocking grass, then marsh where geese rest. Your breath joins the oak's exhale. You move silently through the grove, pausing at birch bark to gather resin for torch-making, soft and aromatic, scented of sunrise and sap. A rustle, sharp and quick, halts your movement. You freeze, muscles slackening as the forest hisses around your heartbeat. A doe stands 10 meters away, translucent in the dim light, its wet nose twitching. Time pauses. You adjust your grip on the spear, point down, curved and sharp. The doe doesn't bolt. Instead, it nods, strangely reverent. This is not superstition, this is recognition. It lifts rump, strikes the motion. You release the spear and it flies true, finding its mark. The animal collapses silently and you approach. You crouch beside her, whispering thanks into amber wings of morning light. This is giving voice again. To hunt and giving blood, exchange and respect. You pause as tears touch your temples. You stroke her flank and remove your pendant, a carved deer tooth from your pouch. You drape it around her neck. Guide her spirit back, you say, without voice. You gather the meat with practiced hands, load it into hide bundles, and trudge forward, each step folding deeper into ritual. Midway through the day's hunt, you come across woodland trails hard-packed by generations of footfalls. Your people, deer, wolves. You trace each line with your fingertips, knowing which paths promise water, which lead to berry trees soon to fruit. A daughter appears from the thicket, bow slung on her arm but child grass in hand, bright pistols for her hair. She gives you a seat on the moss by a clearing where mushrooms push through damp soil. She presses a mushroom into your palm, safe, edible, and smiles, You nod and bite. The earth's sweetness blooms. She gestures and hums. Ba, you nod, meaning yes. Children learn your voice in short syllables, the communal chant rooted in the oldest chants of memory. Children will also learn new words soon. Some are whispered among elders. Tomatoes millennia in the future, but even you would call them new. They are worth gathering, but you sense something else too. Seeds sprout in furrowed earth, tougher than before. You dig and smell the soil before turning to inspect a seed that fell, bouncing across daylight. Its descended melody seems out of place. The land is older than you imagine. New patterns are emerging. You gather your harvest, roots, bulbs, elderberries, each bundle cradle of your life. A hunter arrives with a shaky grin and a duck he butchered. He offers you throat meat, delicate. You accept and share the dawning warmth of a meal. Your people gather. Weavers come with reed baskets full of turnip strata. Fishers bring nets of woven grasses with trout glinting still. Elder women bring bowls of crushed herbs. You share in communal feast, verbal exchange limited. Instead you hum, tapping rhythm with thumb on wood, and others pick up their own beat. It is a celebration of gathered abundance, grown by seasons, passed down by dance gestures, social ceremony. Now you walk toward the river with your group, each carrying fragments, tools, nets, seeds, song. You pass young adults weaving looms for their partner. You exchange nods and whispers, Bamarama. There's formality in gestures now. Standard greeting, fareway, blessing. This is enough. We are enough. On the riverbank, a grand council forms to decide whether to test a new planting patch near the lodge's spring. Harvest is good, but wild grains are migratory into your hearts. Some elders say, planting is vanity. Others murmur, planting is promise. You weigh them equally. You do not speak, so they look to you. You press fingers into the rich mud, smooth, twice, then pat once more. That means contribute. That means you will help. Something shifts in care, recognition. Sun sets pale and gentle. You return to the lodge carrying wild meat and roots and a small sack of scarlet berry seeds. On the horizon, flaming grebes return from Northlands. The wind carries thunder faint. Clouds gather. People gather. Stories are told by low chants. Waves of Bamar. Children echo in rhythm. A woman dabs paint to the sticks of thatch, symbolic as your painting tools on cave ceilings, marking new territory, not carved stone but social land. Every brushstroke is symbolic. Every spindle is ceremony. The lodge expands now. Cordage extends from tree to tree. A shallow trough collects rain. Stone pestle and mortar sit near seat of embassy debates. Edges demarcated not by walls but by shared presence. Everyone moves with calm urgency, as if huddled in storms that haven't come yet. The change doesn't feel epochal, but beginnings are quiet before eruption. You sense something, a world shaped from patterns not only gathered but cultivated. That night, you rest on lodge's sleeper platforms of straw and deer hide, clustered closely. The air carries wood smoke and herb, and soft snoring weaves lullaby under your ears. You imagine tomorrow, digging furrows, miners, tiny trenches into earth, planting with care, watering by spring, coming back years later to see forest groves where only grasses once roamed. You imagine narrative layering, painting grain shapes in clay discs. You realize this is craft now, and divergence from gathering to creation, new in both practice and possibility. Midnight and frost shimmering outside. The wind sighs, disturbs wind chimes of dried gourds and reed, but inside there is still. Pressures swift beneath collective calm. You feel it, dream it. The first rows of wheat that will feed more people. The first communal barn store for winter food. The first marking of time in stones laid in circles. You breathe, not yet. Let time hold its breath just a moment longer. You stand and step outside. The hush of midnight unfolds in pale lantern glow. You crouch beside the spring, collect water in a bark cup. Stars wheel overhead. Pleiades, Orion, some names you know, others wordless bundles of interlocking lights. You hum a string of syllables long, Bama Rama Maba. It is prayer, it is vow, it is lullaby for the world unborn. You sip, trace ripple across glass water. You realize how fragile dawn is, how sweet trepidation is. You trace your finger on water's surface. The reflection is night sky. And you say quietly, I will step into tomorrow. The water ripples outward, an echo forever forward. You step into the lodge again, where heat warms the assembled. You settle on the woven cushion beside your partner, lean your shoulder into theirs. You inhale the mingled scent of fur, loom, grain, blood and bark. You lean forward and say softly, tomorrow we plant. They smile, lay their warm hand above yours. The fire has not gone out. The wind has not begun. The herds still graze, the rivers still run, the birds still call, but the world stands ready. You, your people, your children are ready. The storm of change is coming, far-reaching, transformative. But tonight this breath, this rhythm of Bama is enough. It holds you together, steadfast, alive. And in that moment, the silence before the storm becomes the seedling of human destiny. The garden of man, 8,000 years ago, beginning of agriculture, civilization. You plant crops, villages become cities. The long journey to civilization begins. You rise before sunrise, damp straw and animal hide sleeping mats beneath you. The hush of early dawn settled across the village. Smoke wisps drift upward from hearths in wooden huts clustered around a newly tilled field. You are Homo sapiens 8,000 years ago. The world you once roamed has shifted. It's your own making now. This is the garden of humanity. Light creeps through woven reed walls as you slide open the hut's entrance flap. You step into the crisp morning air and breathe the scent of fresh earth. In front of you, your wife and children walk between rows of green shoots, barley and wheat, corn yet unknown, but millet and lentils raising their slender stalks to heaven. You kneel beside them, running your hand across the soil. It feels rich, nourished by last season's compost. You close your eyes and give thanks. The children scatter seeds into shallow drills you prepared yesterday. Their laughter is soft, full of wonder. You harvest chickpeas from their pods by hand for breakfast porridge. You taste the plump kernels, earthy, sweet, and think, this will sustain generations. Behind you, men bring water from a nearby canal carved last season by your labour. A simple ditch, yes, but fed from spring-fed streams, it transforms this plot. You reach for the woven reed bucket and dip it in slowly, feeling the cool weight. You pour the water along the furrows, murmuring quiet blessings. Bama. The canal rustles, the plants respond, roots drink deeply. This is partnership with earth, a conversation of hope and care. The village stirs. Sheep bleat in pens of woven brushwood. Dogs circle the field's edge. From the eastern road come traders with ox-driven carts carrying clay-drilled pots, leather sandals, woven blankets. They pause and trade obsidian blades, sharp as lightning, for sacks of grain. You nod and heft the grain bag onto your shoulder. Trade is becoming the language of the early village. These transactions, seeds for tools, bind you to distant people across hills and rivers. At midday, elders gather around the hearth in the communal longhouse. They debate what to plant next. Flax for fibres, fruiting shrubs, maybe grapes for fermented drink. One elder unslings a goatskin pouch and sprinkles nut-sized seeds onto a flat stone slab. Everyone leans in, inspecting. They will store them in clay jars. Designed to hold back grain pests, they are symbols of preservation. Civilization humming in small clay shapes. You move to the loom shelters by the riverbank with weavers weaving baskets. Their hands work reed strands into tight coils. baskets to hold seeds, containers for milk. You watch fingers twist, frogs croak in water. The baskets will travel with caravans full of grain, showcasing your village's bounty, expanding your reach. You realize you're not just planting food, you're building economies, crafting connections beyond your fields. By afternoon, the sun climbs high. You rest beneath a fig tree you and your partner planted 3 seasons ago. Its shade already generous, its fruit just beginning. You pluck a green fig and nibble. Sweetness unfolds in layers. You press your palms into each other, the gesture combining thanks and promise. Your cousin gestures in reply and offers dates from his orchard. The village ties strengthen, kinship strengthened by cultivated abundance. Children chase each other through the field, their small hands patting wheat stalks. Their connection to this land will be deeper. They will remember storylines written in soil. Already, a child presses a small clay token into her palm, imprinted with a stylized sun. It's the first ideograph you've seen, marking seed storage for certain months. It's art and early record-keeping fused. Civilization's roots run through such simple marks. As the workday ends, you carry grain to the communal granary, a circular building of timber and wattle plastered with clay. Women gather there to pound nuts and crack hulls. Children swirl chaff from seed. A low hum rises, a tempo of shared layers, the rhythms of infinite cycles, plant, harvest, celebrate, sleep, repeat. The hum grows as dusk settles. In the longhouse, celebrating dusk, you gather around the fire pit. A favourite elder speaks in ritual cadence. We plant, we build, we live, together. His words flow into beats tapped on clay drums. Women shake chords of millet beads. Men play reed pipes. The air fills with breath, with grain-sweet smoke. Hands press into clay. Feet stir earth in unison. Tonight, city is nascent flame, not stone walls. Firelight glints on bronze blade. New metal worked by travelling smith. Bronze, another revolution. You stroke the edge and imagine the crop you can clear, the tool stable you can build, the walls you can erect. Civilization is wrought in metal too. Night falls gradually. The fields rest. Shimmering silver beneath the moon. You step out of the hut clutching a small clay tablet engraved with tally marks, representing seed deposits owed and harvested by families. You press your hand on the record, aware it can last beyond your life. You press your fingers onto chilled earth. You murmur, Bamarama. You place the tablet into the village archives, a clay niche in the longhouse. You look across the shadowed fields, across huts and pens and smoke swirling in starlight. The world you once roamed as hunter-gatherer dances at the edge of memory, but no longer. Now is different. You stand between epochs, wildness still pulses in the forest, but here, in these fields, stories are sown, memories anchored, lives intertwined. You kneel by the final furrow, cradle handful of barley, gently drop them into open soil. Your lineage, your people, will return tomorrow to find blades of green. You will teach them new words, storehouse, city, boundary. You will teach your children how to record, how to build, how to shape civilization. You rise. You walk back into the longhouse where faces glow by fire. You offer a branch of wildflower to your partner, a token from yesterday's gather. They press it to you, nod. You sit together on a woven mat, grains of barley spilled in front of you. Together you begin removing glooms from kernels, grain husk, word husk, shell of old life, revealing the seed for tomorrow. The fire dims, doors close, lanterns glow softly on clay floor. You hear dogs circling, sheep bleating. Somewhere in the field an owl hoots, a wild visitor to your cultivated world. You give a slight smile. You stand at the threshold, hand on frame. You close your eyes and inhale night air scented of grain and fire. This is your garden. This is the place where humans stopped walking and began rooting. This is soil not just underfoot, but inside your mind, a soil of meaning, of memory, of cities yet to come. You step inside and lie in place. Your last thought is an echo as soft as a seed falling into furrow. Bama, civilization begins.